gorgeous night in Boston. Welcome to Baseball Night in America from Fenway Park as the Tigers and Red Sox get ready to play the middle game of this weekend series. And what a pitching matchup we have on tap for you. Chris Sale goes for Boston, and Justin Verlander counters for Detroit. Now with that, we say welcome inside. Joe Davis with A.J. Pierzynski. J.P. Morosi joins us in just a moment. Talk about both these pitchers. I think we're overthinking it if we talk about anything else. And let's start off with Chris Sale, the biggest acquisition this offseason in baseball. And you caught him for his first 3 years in the majors, so you know firsthand what Boston has come to enjoy.
Absolutely. I was there when he made his major league debut in Baltimore, 2 months after being drafted out of Florida Gulf Coast University. This guy is the ultimate competitor when it comes to pitching in baseball. This guy will throw 3 pitches that nobody can hit, a fastball, a slider, and a changeup that are just all nasty, nasty pitches. And he wants the ball for 150 pitches. If John Farrell let this guy go 150 pitches, he'll do it. He's going to get his strikeouts, and he's going to give you innings. That's why Chris Sale is one of the best pitchers in baseball.
And as you see, leading baseball in strikeouts. On the other side, it's Justin Verlander, who, AJ, his last start left the start with groin tightness. But when you check out his track record, no surprise that he's taken the ball again.
Justin Verlander does not miss starts, especially starts in a place like Fenway Park against Chris Sale, his old nemesis from the AL Central. Justin Verlander throws the 4 pitches that everyone knows about. He throws 95 plus. He only gets better, and I don't expect his groin to be a problem. He wants the ball. He wants to pitch in big games against the best competition, and when Justin Verlander is good, he's as good as anybody. He's going to get the ball. He pitches forever. He always takes the ball every 5th day. And that's what Justin Verlander has won a Cy Young and has 2 no-hitters under his belt.
Says he loves pitching in Boston, and the numbers would tell you he loves facing off with Chris Sale. The Tigers are 5-0 in meetings between Sale and Verlander all time. It's the Tigers and the Red Sox on the other side of this break on Baseball Night in America. Beautiful night for baseball here at a beautiful ballpark. 81 degrees with a light breeze. And the Red Sox and Tigers ready to play game 2 after the Red Sox took the opener last night 5-3. Here's the lineup that Chris Sale will face off against. They've been one of the best in the American League this year, scoring close to 5 runs per game. Castellanos has started to heat up. JD Martinez in that 5 spot, one of the best hitters in baseball since his activation in early May. And Justin Upton much better here in year 2 with the Tigers after his acquisition prior to last season. You know about Sale, #1 in the American League in strikeouts. And ready for his 13th start of the season. Off we go with ball 1 on Kinsler. Four for 15 since coming off of the disabled list earlier this week. Missing time with a hamstring injury. Tigers have dropped 3 of 4. That's after they won 4 straight to get back to 500. Here's a 2-0. And a line shot to deep center that sends Bradley back onto the track for a leaping first out of the game. And so Sale with a sub-3 earned run average. He was nearly untouchable over his first month of the season. A little more human lately, but you put it all together and it's been an impressive debut in Boston.
Well, his last couple starts, he had a 110 pitch in another long start where he threw 40 pitches in the first inning. So because of that, John Farrell thought he might have been a little fatigued, but his pitch usage here, what they would like out of him is see more of those sinkers. That'll allow him to get deeper into games. He's going to get his strikeouts either way, but if we can get those sinkers in, then he's going to go deep into the game and save the Boston bullpen from having to go out there and just eat innings when Chris Sale pitches would.
Still strike 1 to Castellanos. Now you were mentioning his start against Baltimore on Sunday, that first inning where he threw 39 pitches and it was mostly the 4-seam. And he did what you said though and turned to the 2-seam and averaged about 14 pitches per inning the rest of the way and finished off 6. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
That's what they want out of Chris Sale. Yes, they love the strikeouts. Everyone loves seeing strikeouts and from a strikeout pitcher, but the Red Sox need innings from him. They need to save the back end of their bullpen, which is as good as anybody's. And if Chris Sale can be that bridge, then it cuts out having to use other guys unnecessarily.
Castellanos homered in the first inning last night. Carries in an 8-game hitting streak. We'll have to wait to try to extend that. He's the first strikeout victim of the game of Sale. 2 gone.
Here's a slider from Chris Sale. Just a filthy slider. Going towards Castellanos' back foot. Seeing the whip that Chris Sale generates from his arm and his kind of funky motion stepping across his body. Just tough to hit that pitch.
2 up and 2 down, and Miguel Cabrera stands in for the Tigers. Struggled to an 0 for 5 last night and struck out 4 times. It's the first time since April of last year that he'd done that. Here's an 0-1, and Cabrera takes inside. 1 ball and 1 strike.
The first 2 pitches are indication of what the Red Sox think about Miguel Cabrera right now. Last night they threw him almost exclusively fastballs for those strikeouts, and tonight the first 2 pitches from Sale are fastballs.
Slider here, and it's 1-2.
So maybe the Red Sox see something Miguel's slowing down. I don't know if that's the case. From what I've seen, he still looks the same. He's just not getting as many hits, but that'd be hard. I'd be challenged to just continually throw Miguel Cabrera fastballs.
See, but they go 2-1-2. It is another heater, and he fouls it back. Well, he is, for the first time in his career, really dealing with some nagging injuries. A groin in April that he dealt with. There's been some back soreness he's gone through. Nagging oblique injury. And what it's led to is the lowest slugging of his career on this date. Upstairs with a heater at 95, and it's 2-2.
And another fastball. They just keep going for the fastball. Granted, that could be to set up the next pitch, which could be a slider back foot, but you see another fastball away.
He punches it by first for a base hit. 34-year-old, 15-year Major League veteran Miguel Cabrera with a 2-out single.
Guys that win Triple Crowns like Miguel Cabrera, if you continue to make the same pitch over and over again, he's going to make the adjustment. And this is what Miggy is so good at. He's taking the ball out over the plate, just hitting it to right field, taking his base hit. And if you make a mistake, he'll get it up and hit it out of the park.
Keeps the inning going for Victor Martinez, who is the best hitter in baseball against Chris Sale. Better than 400 in his career against the left-hander. It's the first pitch foul, and it's 0-1.
And you see this approach from the Tigers. They're swinging a lot of pitches early because they don't want to get to Chris Sale's secondary stuff. But that helps Chris Sale because it keeps his pitch count down, especially if he can get early contact. These guys have been fouling these pitches off, but Chris Sale wants these guys to swing at these pitches early in the count because it helps him in the long run.
Orioles really made him work on Sunday in that first inning before he settled in. His 16th pitch of the first is banged to left for a base hit. And Martinez continues his mastery of Sale. Back-to-back 2-out singles and an opportunity for the Tigers here in the first.
And a lot of people are going to be calling Victor Martinez in the AL East, trying to figure out what he has on Chris Sale, because he's the only guy that seems to handle him on any team.
2 on, 2 out, and it's JD Martinez. And how about our 4 keys to the game as Martinez gets ready to bat? He's part of them.
JD loves hitting here in Fenway Park. He's got a .526 average. He just hits the ball over the park. He hasn't homered yet here, though. He has a couple doubles, but they have 2 guys on. This is the ideal situation for the Tigers in the first inning. He also has 3 homers off Chris Sale, which doesn't hurt either. And then for Boston, they need to pick up the home run pace. They hit 2 home runs last night. They're last in baseball in hitting home runs, which is very un-Red Sox-like. And anytime they hit 2 homers or more in a game, they're 10-1, which they did last night. So they need to hit homers. I know they're not trying to hit homers, but the Red Sox need to hit home runs.
It's a game-winning home run last night from Jackie Bradley. It came in that 3-run 8th. Sale comes home, and Martinez takes down and away. It's the hitting coach, Chili Davis.
I always find it odd when a hitting coach is talking to a pitcher.
What's the
he was
conversation
talking to Rick Porcello right there about maybe pitch selection or how to get guys out, but they're not talking about hitting. He's in the American League.
Fastball painted, and it's 1-2. I suppose it could be about dinner, lunch locations. You mentioned it, how well JD Martinez has done in this ballpark, but truthfully, since he joined the Tigers, it hasn't mattered where he's hit. He's been one of the best in baseball the last 4 seasons. 2 on, 2 out, first inning, and a 1-2. A crack bat flare into short center field. Bradley comes on, dives, and makes the catch to rob Martinez of an RBI here in the first inning.
Jackie Bradley, full layout, gets it right before it hits the ground, and some grass stains to boot.
face off with Mookie Betts at the top of the order. Then Dustin Pedroia. Bogarts hits third. Orland, Benintendi, and Ramirez in the middle. Bradley, fresh off that great first inning defensively, is the 7-hitter. Then Josh Rutledge and the catcher, Sandy Leon. Justin Verlander left on Sunday in his last start against the White Sox after 2 innings with right groin tightness, but he says his body tells him he's ready to go, and a veteran like him should know.
He's not missing this start against Chris Sale in Fenway Park. He'll do anything he can to get out there and pitch.
First man that he sees, Mookie Betts. And Verlander starts him with a fastball for strike one. Betts' couple of hits and a walk last night. A series opening win for Boston. Verlander quickly ahead of him, 0-2. Pretty good season by most standards, but the bar that Mookie Betts set last year when he was runner-up for MVP to Mike Trout means that the numbers this year not close to what they were. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
It's hard to duplicate what Mookie Betts did last year. I know JP Morosi voted for him for MVP, so if you're up there in the top of the MVP voting and you're under 25 years old, it's hard to do that year in and year out. But the Red Sox are happy with where he's at and the way he's swinging the bat right now.
24 years old, only in his 4th major league season.
And I remember when he first got called up, I was a member of the Red Sox when he first came up, and seeing this kid and the way he hits, thinking this kid's got a ways to go. And then I saw him take BP, and I'm like, this kid's going to be special.
On 2-2. He lifts the ball to left center field. Playable for Mikey Matuk. 1 gone. So we talked about Chris Sale, a guy that you caught for a few seasons and playing so much of your career in the Central. You faced Verlander a bunch.
Well, Verlander throws a lot of high fastballs, meaning waist and above. The curveball is the key for me when Justin Verlander is on the mound. If he's able to get swings and misses and outs on his curveball, it's going to be a long day for the Boston Red Sox. Last year, 171 off the curveball. This year, 244. Huge difference in those numbers.
Starts Pedroia with a fastball. It's up 1-0.
And the reason for that is when you throw a lot of high fastballs and your second pitch is a curveball, they come out of the arm the same way in the same plane. So if you're a little bit off and hitters have something to see, they can make that reaction.
Here's a pop-up on a high fastball into shallow center field. 2 up and 2 down.
And just what we talked about, the high fastball, waist and above to get easy pop-ups and easy outs. Pedroia is a dead high ball hitter, and if he can't get on top of it, nobody can. That's a good sign for Justin, meaning his velocity's there, and that's what he wants: early contact and easy outs.
You got him 3 times, homered against him 3 times. Were they all high fastballs?
No, one was a curveball. I know that. I
boy.
want to say it was a grand slam, and he was not happy.
I wouldn't imagine.
I think one was a fastball, maybe a change. I don't remember my bats. I'm not that smart.
Here's Bogarts, and there's ball 1. So Mookie Betts statistically taking a step back this year, but Bogarts, the average way up, the on-base percentage way up. Homers down, but everything else up for the young shortstop. Ground ball to third. There's Castellanos, and there's a 1-2-3 first inning for Justin Verlander. Off and rolling in Boston. On to the second. Sponsored by Sprint. Works for me. Back at Fenway Park, no score, through with an inning. Joe Davis, A.J. Brzezinski, J.P. Morosi. Chris Sale back to the hill, facing off with Justin Upton, leading off this second inning for the Tigers and taking a strike. Got off to a slow start last year in his first year with the Tigers. Was better in the second half and off to a great start this year. Fouled off, down to JP.
Well, Joe, Justin Upton told me this week he felt jumpy in the first half of last year. Much more settled in now in his second season with the Tigers. He's, of course, a three-time All-Star and told me if he makes it to the Midsummer Classic this year, it'll be the most meaningful selection of his career.
In an 0-2 hole, Sale comes back home and finishes him off with an off-speed. That's Sale's second punch out, one gone.
Another breaking ball for the strikeout. You see Upton's face. He tries to stay there. He tries to stay on it. Just runs out of bat. On JP's report, you see that a lot from guys that come, sign a huge deal, and come to new teams. That first half or that first season, a lot of times guys don't do what they've done just because they press. It's human nature to try to justify the contract you signed, and it's easier said than done not to do that.
Strike one on Mikey Matuk. Speaking of being in her first year, he is with the Tigers. Over and under the radar trade from the Rays during the offseason. Part of the revolving door in center for Brad Ausmus this year. They've started 5 different center fielders. Matuk started last night, homered in the opener. But he too is in an 0-2 hole.
Well, the Tigers are looking for anybody to play, take the center field job and run with it. Like you said, they've tried 5 center fielders. Mikey Matuk has had his shot. They just keep trying, guys, and hopefully one of these guys will step up and take the bull and go.
His numbers throughout his career not that impressive, but for whatever reason he's been really good against the Red Sox. Hit below 200 last year for Tampa Bay, but had some of his best games against Boston. Takes the ball here, and it's 1-2.
A lot of times as a player, you just have teams you hit well against, or a park you hit well in, and there's no reason for it. They change pitchers, they change staffs, they change coaches, they change approaches on you, and sometimes you still just get hits in those parks.
Grounded to the hole at short. Bogart's a leaping throw in time for the second out.
Backhand, and dare I say, a little Derek Jeter throw on the end.
He wears number 2 because of Derek Jeter. Grew up idolizing him in Aruba.
He didn't quite get his legs out the way Jeter used to, but still a similar action to what Derek Jeter used to do at Yankee Stadium for all those years and in the Red Sox-Yankee rivalry.
Bogart's part of the new blood infused in that rivalry. Yankees took 2 of 3 from Boston earlier this week. That's ball one on James McCann. Red Sox 12-6 over their last 18 games, and that is since falling to 500 in late May and falling into 4th in the East. They've charged back. Now 3 games back of New York.
I don't think anyone's worried about the Red Sox. It's still early in June. Yes, they were at 500 not that long ago, a couple weeks ago, but they seem to be climbing. They got Price back. A lot of their injured guys are starting to come back.
Little jam shot on a roll to second for Pedroia, and Sale works a 1-2-3 second inning. All zeros up there so far to the bottom of the second. is sponsored by Budweiser, proudly brewed across America. This spot's for you. Back in Boston and no scores. We move on to the bottom of the second inning. Justin Verlander, perfect first, and now the middle third of the Red Sox order coming up. Mitch Moreland, the first in there. And looks at a fastball strike. What a debut season with Boston it's been for Moreland, who came over from Texas. Really a glove first guy historically, league average hitter his entire career prior to this season. But he's played great defense and is putting up his best offensive numbers. Backdoor breaking pitch, and it's 0-2.
Talking to Mitch before the game, his swing is suited for this park with the green monster in left. His power is to left, center to center, and with the short wall over there, he can just play pepper with the left center field wall, and that's why he has so many doubles so far this year, because he just goes up there and tries to hit the ball to left center, which is where his strength is.
Verlander's first strikeout is at his expense, one away in the second.
You want to see a big league curveball? Watch this from Justin Verlander. That is a big league curveball to a guy that has been on fire for the Red Sox, made him look foolish with two curveballs, the second strike and the third strike. That's what Verlander's looking for, that curveball spin going straight down.
One gone for Andrew Benintendi. 22-year-old outfielder in his first full season in Boston. That's strike one and a changeup. Now that curve that you were talking about from Verlander, that's a big part of why he had such a resurgent 2016. Was runner-up for Cy Young after what was the worst couple of years of his career, dealing with injuries in 14 and 15. Came back last year, won 16 games, led the league in strikeouts. It's a pop-up here. McCann or Castellanos? It's McCann for the second out. Time for our first game break. We go to Kevin Burkhardt. So Judge does it again. The Yankees trying to win a fourth in a row and trying to maintain that lead in the East at 3 games coming into this one over Boston. Josiah Ramirez climbs in.
Well, Judge has to be the favorite right now for not only Rookie of the Year but also MVP.
Wow, MVP discussion for him. As Hanley swings himself out of his helmet.
He's carried the Yankees. He's done everything you could ask for out of a rookie, obviously. Home runs, big hits, home runs in big situations too, not just meaningless home runs, but he hits big home runs.
Ramirez shoots an opposite field single to right center. First base runner of the game for Boston comes with 2 outs in the second. So the American League East pretty jammed up right now. A lot of people would say this is the best division in baseball. You know, Toronto was left for dead at 10-20, but they've been one of the best teams since that rotten start. It's been the other way around for Baltimore, who started this season, AJ, 22-10, had the best record in the American League, but 9-18 since, the worst in the American League.
Well, the teams in this division just beat each other up all the time, and they have to feast on other divisions, which as the other divisions have gotten better, especially the Central and the West. So it's not as easy to find those wins anymore. So until you get to 500, though, if you're the Blue Jays, then we'll start talking about you a little bit more. But I think the Red Sox are going to be fine. The Yankees have gotten much better pitching than anybody counted on. And Baltimore's kind of about where we thought Baltimore would be. They're over 500 and they're hanging in there. The surprise to me is Tampa.
Yeah.
Tampa's hanging in there 33-31 when no one saw that coming.
Jackie Bradley Jr., the hitter here with 2 gone in the second. Verlander brings him a 1-0, and he takes a generous outside corner strike. Did you see today Tampa Bay playing a doubleheader game one of the doubleheader went extra innings, 3 hours 54 minutes.
There's nothing worse. First of all, it was a scheduled doubleheader, which nobody does anymore. And then to go extra innings in the first game is just torture for both teams.
Late swing and a miss, 1-2. At least they got to do it at the Trop.
They're not going to get rained out at the Trop. It's the only way that could make that day worse for a player is 2 games, extra innings in the first, and then just throw in a rain delay.
Last night's hero, Bradley, already a couple of nice defensive plays in this game. Really heating up for Boston, and Red Sox fans know well what he can do when he gets hot. Very streaky hitter. 29-game hitting streak at one point last year, the longest in the American League. And what was really a breakout offensive season for him to complement what was always been great defense. Runner at first with 2 gone. Coming inside with a fastball, 2-2. And his home run last night, John Farrell said one of the longest home runs he remembers seeing in this ballpark to give Boston the 5-3 win.
Jackie said he got all of that one, and I believe it. There's a red seat out there where allegedly Ted Williams hit a ball. Now, I've played here a bunch of games, and I played with David Ortiz and Jim Thome and some pretty good left-handed hitters. And in BP, they couldn't even come close to that red seat. And that ball that Jackie hit last night was still about 15 to 20 rows short of that red seat. So Ted Williams, God bless you.
He can swing it a little bit.
He could, but
I'm with you.
The red seat, I don't even know if our camera can find there's someone sitting in it, I believe, but it's in that general vicinity right around there. And it's so, if you walk out there and get the chance to see if you can find a way to walk out into the red seat and sit. We used to do it in batting practice. You cannot believe that a human being could hit a ball that far. But apparently Ted Williams did it.
Did a lot of things that most humans could never dream of.
Especially with a bat. And a war hero.
Here's another 2-2. A little bit up, full count.
Justin wanted that pitch. See the look of frustration on his face. That was the pitch he wanted to put him away with. Little cutter, probably high. Verlander still wants that. When you're the ace, you have a Cy Young under your belt, you want everything. Chris Sale, he'll want everything also.
A lot of times they earn those borderline
and they
pitches.
deserve them. Absolutely.
Ramirez will run with 2 outs and a full count pitch that Bradley jams foul. Already saved a run going away, and this is kind of ho-hum because we were working our way through introducing the pitcher and the lineups, but this one here kept J.D. Martinez from knocking in the game's first run.
That's what Jackie's known for. He's a defense first. His hitting has really improved over the last couple years, and he's become not only a threat but also a force at the plate when he's going right, and he's doing what he's supposed to do. But they just want him to catch everything in center field.
Hits a high fly ball to right center that sends Matsuk back into the deepest part of the yard to catch it in front of the 420 sign. Well, he picked the wrong spot to try and falls just short. players bound to be crowned America's champion in golf's can't-miss major of the year. It's the 117th U.S. Open on Fox, FS1, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. The 9-hitter, Jose Iglesias, takes ball one from Chris Sale. Scoreless here in the third. That's a strike, and it's 1-1. And a guy who started his career here in Boston. Signed him out of Cuba 2009, made his debut in 2013. And lifts a ball to left center field that Benintendi runs over on and can't get to. Jose Iglesias continues his hot hitting with a double to open the third.
Iglesias, known as a glove first player, normally has a nice swing here for a leadoff double, and the Tigers are in business. Breaking ball, he just stays on it, drives it into the gap. When that ball was hit, I thought Benintendi had a chance, but it just kept going. The wind's blowing out a little bit, carried over his head for a stand-up double.
Warm night, ball's traveling pretty well, although don't tell that to Jackie Bradley after he loses a home run in front of the 420 sign.
Now, usually when you hit a ball 419 feet, you at least get a hit. You don't have a guy run under it and camp it and catch it easily.
Kinsler smacks a ball to right. That's a base hit. Iglesias had to hold on to make sure that it fell, so he holds it third, and the Tigers have them cornered with nobody out.
With no outs, Iglesias can't go right away. He has to freeze just in case somehow Mookie Betts comes up with that. Normally that's a pretty easy read if you're looking over your shoulder and you know where the outfielders are, but with no outs, you take a little bit less of a chance. With one out, he probably's going and scores easily. But Ian Kinsler did everything you're supposed to do right there. Guy on second, no outs, ball out over the plate, just hit it to right field, and at least at a minimum get the guy over to third base with one out and give Castellanos a chance to drive him in.
Especially with this part of the order coming up. Two-hitter stands in and looks at strike one.
Now this is where Chris Sale is going to turn it up a notch. He's going to try and get a strikeout here and then get Cabrera to hit into a double play. He's going to try and get out of it. Easier said than done to get out of it without giving up a run. And a lot of times you'll tell guys, hey, just try to give up one. But Chris Sale out there, he doesn't want to give up any.
It foul, and it's 0-2. You talk about the little things throughout a 162 game season. This should be one of them. A runner at third and less than 2 outs. Tigers, the worst team in baseball at executing this situation.
That surprises me because they have a bunch of veteran guys.
Yeah.
It's not like they have a bunch of young guys that are up there inexperienced and over anxious. Those guys are solid major league veterans with long track records.
They have the fourth oldest lineup in the majors. Includes 3 guys that are 34 or older. 5 regulars 29 and older. Castellanos one of the exceptions to that. Still only 25 and already in his 4th big league year. Batting with runners at the corners and nobody out in a scoreless third. Here comes Sale with an 0-2. Turned it up to 98 that time.
And that's Chris Sale going for the strikeout. He wants to put him away right here to get one out, and then the pressure flips over to Miguel Cabrera to get a ball in the air, not hit a ground ball and double play ball. I'd be very surprised right here if Chris Sale doesn't try a back foot slider. He's thrown him 3 fastballs in a row to try to put him away. The last one 98. I'd be shocked if he doesn't throw a slider. And there's the slider from Sandy Leon.
On 0-2, and it works. His 3rd strikeout, probably his biggest yet, and puts him in a situation now where a ground ball can get him out of the inning.
Absolutely, and ho-hum, you only have to face Miguel Cabrera now.
Yeah, right.
But after the 3 straight fastballs, especially the one at 98, Chris Sale has one thing on his mind, and that's punching his ticket. Throws him the back foot slider, which after seeing those pitches, it's just hard to lay off of, and it's hard to get the bat on it because it just keeps coming in and riding in on your hands and your feet.
Cabrera singled his first time. And a scoreless game in the 3rd. Looks at strike one over the inside black. These guys have faced off a bunch Cabrera, 4 home runs against him. That's tied with the man that bats next, Victor Martinez, for the most of any player. 0-2.
Well, now Sale's just going to get greedy because now he's got him 0-2. So now he's like, you know what? I'm going to try and punch his ticket also back to the dugout. So in an ideal world, Sale would get a ground ball, get a double play. But now that he's got him 0-2, he's thinking, okay, I can punch him out and go after Victor Martinez with an open base and possibly pitch around him if I need to.
Double from Iglesias. Single from Kinsler. Sale struck out Castellanos. Now smelling blood with Cabrera and finishing him off over the inside corner at 96.
Three-pitch sequence here by Chris Sale. Fastball in where you have to show Miguel Cabrera. Breaking ball backdoor, he fouls it off. Now he's in trouble. And a heater in. Cabrera knew it right away. Nothing he can do. He can't cover the whole thing. And just sometimes you got to shake your head and go back to the dugout because the guy on the mound is just too darn good for you.
And so it falls on Victor Martinez, who boosted his numbers against Sale with a first inning single. Again, the best hitter in baseball against Sale.
Sale has a base open here. Although it's second base, there still is a base open. So he might be a little, he knows those numbers, so he might be a little bit more cautious here with Victor Martinez. You see a first pitch off speed there. He's going to be careful because he knows those numbers.
Although, pick your poison. You have J.D. Martinez standing on deck.
Yeah, but he also jammed J.D. really bad his first time up. So Chris knows where he stands and he knows who he'd rather face. And in his mind, yeah, he wants to get Victor Martinez out. But if he walks him, it's not the end of the world.
At the corners with 2 gone and a 1-0. Foul tipped, 1-1. You said it. As soon as the Tigers put runners at the corners with nobody out, that Chris Sale would turn it up a notch. And 9 of the last 10 pitches since then have been strikes.
Absolutely. And his velo has gone up from 93, 94 to 97, 98. The guy in the other dugout, Justin Verlander, has been known to do that for years and years. Now he gets to watch Chris Sale do it against him.
Victor Martinez, the veteran, waits on a 1-1. Strike 2. Iglesias at third. Started this inning with a double. Kinsler's at first. They were both there with nobody out. Sale Cade Castellanos. He Cade Cabrera. And he misses upstairs to make it 2-2 on Martinez.
Good pitch. Although it missed upstairs, you could see Victor Martinez's reaction to that pitch. Like, hey, wasn't where I was expecting that. You see him buckle. Oh, gives him a look like, okay, okay.
No score in the third. Tigers at the corners with 2 gone and a 2-2. Chris Sale strikes his way out of trouble in the third. Tonight's 8th inning win for the Red Sox stirred up memories of this in the 8th inning of the American League Championship Series in 2013. The Big Papi Grand Slam, and a famous man made in Steve Horgan, who still is the officer out in the bullpen at Fenway and stands by with our JP Morosi.
Thank you, Joe. And Officer Horgan, last night's game, Mitch Moreland's home run, a high arcing ball into the bullpen just outside the reach of a Tigers right fielder. What did that remind you of?
Just reminded me of Torrey Hunter in the same trajectory. It was coming right in the bullpen. I can't help myself. I get excited, especially home runs in the bullpen.
Officer Horgan, how often are you reminded of that home run by Big Papi?
Almost every game. Everyone wants a picture or mentions it or they were at the game.
What is the coolest request that's come your way in your life because of that night?
There's been a lot of requests. Riding on the tugboat with Mr. John Henry and his wife when they won the 2013 World Series. That was pretty cool.
And what has your relationship been like with both David Ortiz and Torrey Hunter in the years since then?
It's been fantastic. Two class acts. They're very friendly to me, very nice to me. I've had a lot of chats with them. Excellent, excellent guys. Hall of Famers, both of them.
Going back to 2013, what was so special about that team and the city that year?
Well, after the bombings, it was hard on the city, you know, and winning the World Series was just awesome. Just give everybody something to hope for and something to be cheered for.
Last one for you. As we see the gentlemen below us here in the bullpen having a little fun with us, how much fun is it to have worked with them now for 25 years at Fenway Park?
They've been great. The Red Sox are great. The fans, everyone here is great. The bullpen guys, the Crowns crew, everyone. It's awesome. It's an awesome feeling.
Officer, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Joe, back to you.
All right, JP, great stuff. You know they have a Steve Horgan bobblehead they did here a while back?
With the pose.
Right.
So I was here in 2014 when I played for the Red Sox. And still, whenever someone hits a home run for the Red Sox, he still does that pose. He always, for some reason, has his left hand closed and his right hand open. And I asked him, you know, Officer Horgan, why do you do that? And he goes, I just didn't know what to do.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
So that's what he does now every time.
Josh Rutledge leading off this inning against Verlander with a shot into center for a base hit. Wonder if you can go back and find pictures from when he was a kid exclaiming if he had the same thing. That's just kind of in his DNA.
He is famous. He said he's famous. JP said he's famous, and he signs pictures out in the bullpen of that picture. That shot. See, there you go. The guy just gave it that perfect time.
But he had two open fists. He needed to clench the left.
That guy's not a true fan right there. He doesn't know the exact pose. See, look.
No.
His buddy's like, yeah, I just talked to the police officer with the hands.
Close.
Notice he didn't do it back because he didn't do it correctly.
Right. Steve was disgusted.
That's right. How dare you not know my pose?
Sandy Leon, the leadoff man on for the Red Sox in a scoreless third inning. The Boston catcher takes ball one.
Normally you would think the officer would try to save Torrey Hunter from almost decapitating himself over the wall, but instead he was too busy celebrating the grand slam by David Ortiz. True fan.
Red Sox went on to win that in 6 games. That's a strike, and it's 1-1. Now, since that season, neither one of these teams has won a playoff game. Tigers in their last postseason trip, swept by the Orioles in 2014. Boston, after missing the postseason back last year, swept by Cleveland. High expectations for this Red Sox group, though. Trying to move to a season high 7 games above 500 with a win tonight.
Well, anytime you go out and trade for a guy like Chris Sale, bring in David Price last year, get Rick Porcello, who's the reigning Cy Young Award winner, the expectations are going to be high. Higher than normal in Boston. That's saying something because they expect you to win every single game here. So if you can even elevate those, you're doing something.
There's the old Tigers head. Dave Dombrowski now runs the Boston Red Sox. And as Tigers fans got to know, he is not afraid to pull the trigger on deals.
And as a player, you respect that. You want a GM that was not afraid to make the bold move to try to help you get to the next level, whether it's the playoffs or the World Series or win a World Series, whatever it is, you want that. You respect that when a guy will make the moves and has the courage to do those.
That's a strike, 2-2. Prior to the game today, with some of his old guys in town, Brad Ausmus talking with him. Second year now in Boston with Al Avila taking over as the general manager in Detroit. Some big decisions to be made there as the trade deadline approaches. That's the story with the Tigers this year. Will they hang around long enough to give it another push with this aging core, or will they go into sell mode?
Well, as bad as the Tigers have been for what they were expecting coming into this season, they're still right there. Cleveland hasn't played up to their potential. Minnesota is in first place, which nobody would have guessed on June 10th that they would be there. So they're still alive. That's why there's been a kind of not knowing what to do on the Tiger side. If you're 29-31 and you're 12 games out, they're thinking sell, sell, sell. But because they're only 4 games out, they're thinking, heck, if we can add the right piece, we can get right back in this and maybe steal the division.
Leon continues to make Verlander work, and there are a few pieces that would be really enticing for teams. I think JD Martinez at the top of that list. There are also some pieces like Verlander, like Cabrera, whose contracts would be very hard for a team to take on, although there are always those teams out there that are willing to. I don't think Cabrera's going anywhere, though. His deal runs another like 45 years.
Yeah, he signed a pretty nice contract a few years ago, and good for him.
Leon hammers the ball down the right field line, foul. Took a peek at Pesky's pole out there and just missed. Still 2-2.
That pole is so close. A couple years ago, we were here and Dustin Pedroia hit a grand slam off that pole, and I thought it was a pop up to our second baseman, and it hit the pole for a grand slam, and it would have been foul by 20 feet at any other park except for Fenway with Pesky's pole.
8-hitter Rutledge singled to start the inning. Now the 8th pitch of the AB to Leon makes it a full count. So it's the bottom of the Red Sox order starting to make Verlander sweat, with Mookie Betts in the top due up. Here's a payoff. Base hit down the right field line. Heck of an at-bat for Sandy Leon, who holds on with a single. On the 9th pitch from Verlander, he makes it first and third, nobody out.
Great at-bat by Sandy Leon. Just complete mislocation by Verlander. Sandy Leon whips it through the shift, down the right field line. JD Martinez does a nice job of cutting it off, keeping him from going to second. But the Red Sox are in business first and third, much like the Tigers were in the top of the inning, and Chris Sale pitched out of it. So let's see what Justin Verlander can do here in the bottom of the third.
Sale did it with 3 consecutive strikeouts against 2, 3, and 4 in the Detroit order. Now Verlander will have to try and get through the very top of this Boston order.
Well, Mookie Betts had the longest streak of not striking out this season, of over 100 plate appearances. So I don't see a strikeout. It could happen, but I don't know that a strikeout is on Verlander's mind right here.
Fastball, ball 1.
And Mookie Betts has never had a hit off Justin Verlander. 0 for 13, I believe.
There are not many guys in this Boston lineup that have done well against Verlander. Really good numbers across the board in his career against Boston in this ballpark. He said that he loves pitching here. A fan of baseball history, the older parks.
And Verlander turning it up much like Chris Sale did, 97 all of a sudden. He's been kind of sitting at 93, 94, and he's in trouble. And the great pitchers have the ability to reach back and get a couple more miles per hour, and he did that to Mookie Betts right there.
Rutledge at third and Leone at first. Here's the 1-1, and Betts checks his swing on a pitch inside, 2-1. John Farrell saying Mookie Betts still not totally on time, still not completely in rhythm. A couple of months into this season.
Well, he has an odd hand movement, a lot of hand movement, which affects his timing, but he just has a knack for getting the barrel to the ball.
3-1.
You don't see guys with that much movement and that much up and down with their hands be as on time as Mookie Betts has been throughout his whole career. He usually have lapses, but he's just such a good athlete and so good with his hands and his coordination that he can still be ready and be on time and get his hands to the ball.
And a good count here on 3-1. He pops it foul and it's full. Verlander trying to do the same as Sale. After the Tigers put him at the corners with nobody out in the top of this inning, Sale 3 consecutive strikeouts. Verlander's worked it back into a full count. Three balls, 2 strikes, and Mookie Betts takes ball 4 to load the bases. First free pass issued by Verlander, and Dustin Pedroia steps into the spotlight. Off of the DL last night. Missed 10 games with a wrist injury, and anytime you hear wrist with Dustin Pedroia, you cringe and fear the worst. But the minimum amount of time on the DL, and returned last night with an 0 for 4.
Pedroia wants to play, much like Verlander wants to pitch. Pedroia is the most miserable guy on the planet when he doesn't play, because he's annoying everybody, telling it, talking, I want to play, I want to play. So get him back out there as soon as you can.
Takes ball 1. 4 times in his career he's hit grand slams. You mentioned one of them was a little pop that hit off of the foul pole and right.
I still have nightmares about that one, Dustin, so thank you.
Rutledge started this inning with a single, then Leone did the same. Betts aboard on the walk. And Boston with an opportunity against Verlander here in the 3rd.
And a good meeting by James McCann right there. Verlander looks a little bit out of sync ever since the hit by Sandy Leone, and McCann just went out there and gave him a key and give him a break. And let's start over here. We're only down 1-0 in the count to Pedroia, so let's just get our rhythm back and go after him.
Line to right center field. Martinez over to catch it. Here comes Rutledge, and Martinez throw cut off. The Red Sox score first on a sacrifice fly from Dustin Pedroia.
Justin Verlander will take that situation with bases loaded, 1 out. A little bit struggling a little bit with his command and his control. Pedroia hit it hard. Martinez makes a nice play out in right field, and if he gets out of this inning with only giving up the 1 run, he'll look back, and the Tigers will look back and say, hey, that was a great job right there by our pitcher.
And so 1 gone in the inning, and Boston has a 1-0 lead with Xander Bogaerts coming up.
And if you're Boston, they have the guy they want up there and the guy on deck coming up, who in this lineup, Mitch Moreland, is the one guy that has had success off Verlander. So Bogaerts their best hitter all year, and Mitch Moreland, the guy who has hit Verlander the best in his career, the next 2 guys up. So the Red Sox need to find a way to capitalize, and the Tigers are looking at it, hey, let's damage control here and only give up 1.
Bogaerts an all-star for the first time last year. At 294, bashed 21 homers. Foul tips it behind 0-2. Home run numbers are down this year. He's only hit 2 of them as he's played much of the year with a sore thumb on his bottom hand. And that's forced a one-handed follow-through that you saw there for much of the season, sapping some of that power. Here's an 0-2. Fouls off a fastball.
as a hitter, talk about a thumb injury, a nagging thumb injury, Pedroia nagging wrist injury. There's nothing more important than your hands. And when you're a hitter, you have hand problems, they just never go away, because the only way to practice hitting is to hit. So if you have something nagging you in your hands, especially for guys like Pedroia and Bogaerts that are very handsy hitters and use their hands a lot and try to take their body out of the swing, they need those things to be 100% healthy and to feel good when they go up there, so that it doesn't take away any of their attention from actually just trying to put a good swing on the ball.
Two on with one out in the third. And Verlander's 0-2 in the dirt. We asked John Farrell, does Bogaerts need to be a 20 home run guy to reach his full potential? Is that who he is? And Farrell said, look, it's hard to complain about a guy who's hitting 326.
Absolutely. He's hitting third. He's already won a World Series. He plays a premium defensive position in shortstop. He makes all the plays. He's a good guy in the clubhouse, just a good guy to be around, always has a smile on his face. It's hard to complain about anything when you have that combination of a player.
Verlander finishes him off on a slider, 2 out.
First pitch curveball, locks up Bogey, then he goes slider away, which breaks away. High fastball to get him off the breaking ball. Then a nice stop by McCann on another curveball, and then just a slider that just darts away. Bogaerts' look on his face is, I cannot believe what that pitch just did. And then he can't believe that he swung at it because it was so far outside. But sometimes you get fooled by not only the velocity, but also by the break. And then you go sit down, especially a guy against Justin Verlander, against the likes of him.
So now it is Moreland with 2 on and 2 out, and he swings at the first pitch, strike 1. You mentioned best guy in this lineup against Justin Verlander, and best guy in this lineup against the Tigers this year. He's hitting above 500 against Detroit. 243 against everybody else.
Maybe he needs to go to the AL Central.
Having a career offensive season in his first year in Boston, waiting on an 0-1, behind 0-2.
You see Verlander continue to up the velocity when he gets into trouble and up the concentration on his pitches. Not that he's not concentrating on the other pitches, but as soon as he gets into trouble, the location improves, the break improves, the movement on the pitches improve. It's just what the great ones do. They have that extra gear that they can find whenever they need it.
And Verlander really having to dig deep to find it here in the third. This would be his 31st pitch of the inning. Leone at second, Betts at first, and Verlander throws back there. Not in time. Iglesias points into the dugout and says take a peek back in the video room.
Inside move by Verlander. Catches Sandy Leone's not going anywhere, just surprises him, and they would actually try and pick him off. And that's close. If his foot stayed on the base, he's probably safe, but even Verlander can't believe that worked.
You catchers get picked on some of the bases.
Yeah. If a guy ever threw over and I was on base, I would always look at the first baseman and say, he knows that I'm not stealing and I'm really slow, right?
So why is he making me burn breaths?
Yeah, burn calories over there. But it almost actually worked and got a cheap out and got him out of the inning.
Still a strike away from getting out of the inning with minimal damage. Red Sox had the bases loaded here in the third. Cashed in one on a Pedroia sac fly. McCann can't hang on, and it stays 0-2.
All fastballs so far to Moreland. I would expect somewhere pretty soon to see one of those breaking balls, curveballs going down to his back foot to try to get him to swing over the top and and get the strikeout and get out of the inning.
Struck him out his first time up there. And home with an 0-2 pitch. It was a slider, and it slipped foul. Do it again.
But it was a mislocation. He wanted that bounced and wanted that in the dirt. Instead, it was just high enough to where Mitch could get enough on it to foul it off and stay alive. McCann's target down.
Verlander and McCann several times during this inning having a hard time getting on the same page.
That's because it's been a long inning. So both of them are kind of searching for a way to get out of this inning and get an out.
33 pitches deep. Here's another 0-2. And it's taken in the dirt for ball one.
That's the pitch he wanted to throw the pitch before. But Mitch Moreland just saw that pitch, so he's able to lay off of it. If he would have thrown that pitch the pitch before, where he hadn't seen it yet in this at bat, he probably would have got a swing and miss. But after Mitch has seen it already, it gives the hitter a little bit of an advantage. Like, okay, I know the speed, I know the break, and I know how it comes out of his hands. So it's an easier take for those guys.
So Verlander and McCann have to keep on digging into that bag of tricks to try and finish this inning. Now 1-2. Slider again, and it's in. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I'm looking for a changeup. He hasn't thrown a lot of changeups. Maybe he doesn't have the feel for it right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if because he has a really good changeup, and he hasn't thrown a lot to these left-handed hitters. So I wouldn't be surprised. I could be way wrong, but just to show him something different that looks like a fastball after all these good takes on these breaking pitches.
Instead of fastball, and I'm not sure where it missed, but the count's full.
Fastball in off the plate. That's been called a couple times tonight, but David Rackley thought it was inside, so we're at a full count. The runners will get the advantage here and be off on the pitch unless Verlander tries the inside move trick again.
A run in the bank for the Red Sox here in the third. 2 on with 2 out. And they'll be off and rolling with this 3-2. Fastball, base hit right field. Leone scores. Betts held at third on an RBI single from Mitch Moreland. Verlander just couldn't find a way to finish him off.
And I'm very surprised he didn't throw him a breaking ball right here, 3-2. With the base open, yes, it's not first base, but Mitch Moreland's been the one guy in this lineup that's done damage and hurt him. And I was surprised he didn't throw a breaking ball to try to just give him a different look and make a good pitch. And instead, he challenged him and he got beat.
So there was a 9-pitch at bat earlier in the inning where Sandy Leone singled. This was an 8-pitch at bat. And Moreland drives home the second run of the inning. Would have felt like settling had the Red Sox gotten just one.
And that's a big hit. We already talked about, hey, if Verlander gets out of it, Justin gets out of this with only 1 run, it's a win. But now it's 2 with the possibility of more. So the Red Sox have the chance here to just pile on. And not only that, but they're also running Verlander's pitch count through the roof in this inning.
36 in this inning alone.
And these are the innings that hurt starting pitchers. It's not only the pitch count, but it's the stress of the pitches. When you go first and third and no outs, every pitch from that point on is stressful.
And Attendee takes off with the plate, ball 1. And especially when you're dealing with what Verlander is, and that is a tightness in his right groin that had him out of his last start after 2 innings. But he felt similar tightness prior to this season, and again 2 starts ago, though not as bothersome as he felt it on Sunday and had to leave the game. That one nowhere close, and it's 2-0. There's one thing Verlander knows how to do, that is pitch through pain. 30 or more starts in 10 of his 11 big league seasons. Benintendi flies one to left. Back goes Upton onto the track with room to end the inning. They finally threw that changeup that you were talking about, and it gets Benintendi to fly out. But the Red Sox get the game's first 2. Like it's been forever since Chris Sale pitched after that 39-pitch inning for Justin Verlander. But the last time the big left-hander was out there, struck his way out of trouble, getting 3 consecutive Ks after the Tigers had put runners at the corners with nobody out.
He'll take the long wait if his team continues to score 2 runs an inning. He'll sit on there all day.
Gets J.D. Martinez to open this inning. 5, 6, and 7 for the Tigers. Upton and Matuk to follow. That's strike 1. Martinez flied to center his first time. Started the season on the DL with a foot strain and then debuted on May 12th. And is putting up the best numbers of his career. Even though he said he didn't think he was quite ready coming out of his rehab. But you look here in early June, he's #1 in the American League in slugging. His walk rate has more than doubled from previously in his career. Keeps on getting better now in his 7th season. 1-2.
Well, heck, every year since he's been in Detroit, since coming over from Houston, he's done nothing but hit and get better and better. Change his total swing over from when he was a Houston Astro, a young kid, and learned from Miguel Cabrera, learned from Victor Martinez, learned from a lot of the veteran guys on the Tigers, and it seems like every time you look up, he's getting big hits for them.
Now those 3 years with the Astros, he was below average and a .251 hitter. Houston released him following a 111 loss season, so that tells you where they stood with him and how he was on the pecking order there. A lot of the prospects were coming through the system. They needed to clear space, and he was one of the guys that was in the way. He's the 4th consecutive strikeout victim of Chris Sale. 1 gone in the 4th and down to JP.
Well, Joe, a huge decision coming up for the Tigers on J.D. Martinez, and if things don't go well for them in the next 6 weeks or so, perhaps he ends up being a bit of a trade option for them at the deadline on July 31st. Teams like the Dodgers, and then maybe next year even a team like the Yankees potentially could look at a player of J.D. Martinez's caliber, because, Joe, right now, since he came to Detroit in 2014, only 2 outfielders have a better OPS, Mike Trout and Bryce Harper.
JP, he's one of those guys that is one of the first that bought into the whole launch angle thing, trying to elevate the ball more. And this turnaround where he ranks third in OPS corresponds with that new philosophy. Ball and a strike on Justin Upton.
If I knew that's all it took was just start hitting more fly balls, man, I should have started that about 15 years ago.
You'd still be rolling.
No, I wouldn't be, but he's turned himself into just a really good hitter and a really good player.
Upton pops it off with the hands. Pedroia's out, and he will catch it for the second out. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Falcon Tires, the official tire of Major League Baseball. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. So Sale has now retired 5 in a row on this beautiful night in Boston since the Tigers put men at the corners with nobody out to open the third.
Joe, how come you did a little dance there when the Dodgers were brought up with J.D. Martinez?
Well, you told me he was the best player in baseball the last 5 years. That would explain the dance.
So you think he'd look good in Dodger blue if it comes to that?
I don't think he'd look bad. Ball and a strike on Mikey Matuk. I think there are a lot of teams that would feel that way about acquiring him.
Absolutely.
Would suit them just fine. Final couple of months of this season, even as a rental.
If you can add a bat and an impact bat like that, you'd go for it.
1-2.
Even if it is for 2 months, like you said, a rental, you still do that. Granted, the cost might be astronomical, but if you're going for it and you're all the chips are in for the World Series, and why not?
Matuk turns on it, and a lazy fly ball to center. That's a 1-2-3 inning for Chris Sale. On to the bottom of the fourth in Boston. Red Sox in front 2-0. Every device, watch every out-of-market regular season game live and get a free subscription to At-Bat Premium. #1 app for live baseball. Visit MLB.tv for details. Well, the World Championship trophies here in Boston. As Hanley Ramirez starts the inning against Justin Verlander and takes ball 1.
Pretty cool they brought that out for the fans to hang out with. I'm assuming that was the 2004 one. They have 3, so remember when they couldn't win 1 and now they have 3?
Right. Don't know what to do with them. They put them out there with the fans. It's in. It's 2-0.
They let people take them home maybe for the night to have them at their house and
Could
pass
be
it
a
around.
replica.
I doubt it. I don't think there's too many replicas of those trophies floating around.
Ramirez singled his first time, and on 2-0 he takes strike 1. Bradley and Rutledge to follow in this inning against Verlander, who had to throw 39 pitches to work a bottom of the third that lasted close to a half hour. 3-1. Ramirez leading off the 4th for Boston and smacking a ball off the end of the bat to right. JD Martinez is there for the first out of the inning. Verlander's so durable over the last decade since he entered the league as a full-time player back in 05. Nobody's won more games. The thing is, though, JP, we talk about JD Martinez being a slam dunk trade candidate because he'll be a rental with his deal up after this season. It's not the case with Justin Verlander.
Well, Joe, I'm not just trying to get Dodgers fans excited here, but the reality is if Verlander is traded, that's a big if because he's due $28 million next year and the year after that. And, of course, he also has a full no-trade clause. The Dodgers are the type of team that I think can get Verlander because they've got the prospects. I understand, Joe, it's a very nice place to live. Dodger Stadium is very beautiful, so one assumes the no-trade clause could be waived to go there. The Yankees could be lingering as well. The Astros, too. But, Joe, we've seen the Dodgers now have to go to Kershaw on short rest in the first round of the playoffs 4 years in a row. They need a co-ace, and Verlander has won 7 games in the postseason.
Yeah, somebody, if they get a hold of Verlander and have an opportunity to watch him pitch in the postseason, going to be better off for it. JP mentioned the Dodgers being one of those teams that acquired Rich Hill last year. He's kind of that guy in the postseason, but has dealt with the blister issues. Still searching for that reliable number 2 in a postseason series. That's in, and it's 2-2. Other thing with Verlander is he owns a home in Beverly Hills.
And he's dating some girl, I believe, that also out in L.A. named Kate Upton that some people out there probably heard of.
Yeah.
She spent some time out in L.A., so there's a lot of positives to the L.A. thing, but at the end of the day, Detroit's got to keep somebody.
Here's a bouncing ball. Cabrera's got it. 2 out. Do they, though? I mean, or are they looking at a situation here if things go south, and right now they sit 4 games back in the Central as we're a month and a half out of the deadline. Do they look at completely unloading and rebuilding this thing from the ground up?
At some point, they're going to have to, just because they could lose JD Martinez to free agency. Justin Upton can opt out of his contract. Also, Ian Kinsler is soon to be a free agent. But for me, Justin Verlander needs to be a Tiger his entire career. He just needs to be that way. And it's easier said than done. I get it. People get traded and people get moved and feelings get hurt, but this guy's a Tiger. They used to have a thing at Comerica Park, who's your Tiger? Well, Justin Verlander is a Tiger. And to see him in a different uniform just wouldn't be right. And I hope he doesn't get traded. I hope he stays, and he has 10-5 rights, which gives him basically all the power to stay there if he wants to, and if that's what he chooses, good for him, and enjoy it and be a Tiger.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Josh Rutledge. And again, as JP mentioned, Verlander's deal runs through 2019 with a vesting option based on performance for 2020.
And if you ask Justin Verlander, would you rather go to LA and win a World Series or win one in Detroit? He'd absolutely say Detroit. He'd take one either place, but he wants to win in Detroit. You see the Mr. I patch on the Tiger sleeves there, and That's Mr. Ilitch, who passed away, but he wanted nothing more than to win a World Series for the city of Detroit. Verlander's pitched in one, just wasn't able to get it done, and he wants to win more than anybody for the city of Detroit and the fans of Detroit and for Mr. I.
13th year, all with the Tigers, the team that drafted him 2nd overall in 2004 out of Old Dominion. Looking for a 1-2-3 4th inning.
He has a house in LA. He also has a house in Lakeland, Florida, which is the Tigers spring training home and where Chris Sale is from. So maybe he wants to stay in Lakeland.
Maybe. Lovely place.
It is.
Bases empty, 2 gone, and another payoff to Rutledge. Another foul ball. John Farrell played a hunch today, giving a start to Rutledge. That and Pablo Sandoval has continued to struggle mightily. The fact that Rutledge had a couple of hits in his career against Verlander, enough combined with Sandoval's problems to give him the start. And it's paying off for him. He's reached both times against Verlander.
The defense is why.
Yeah.
Deep down, John Farrell can say it's the offensive side, but for me it's the defense with Chris Sale out there and Verlander facing Verlander. They need the defense. Slider. David Rackley had it up, I believe. It's probably a little bit high, but Justin thought it was a good enough pitch and he wants it. Little argument, a little frustration with the umpire, and turns around and walks away. Oh, can't believe he called it up, but he did, and now we move on.
Brett Ausmus coming out, and you wonder if this is so he can have this meeting broken up by Rackley and get an opportunity to share a word or two himself.
A lot of times these managers and pitching coaches will come out just to take the attention off their pitcher, give them a breather, and also take the attention and let the umpire walk out there, and they can give him an earful, so it's not coming from the player, it's coming from the coaches.
He got his message across calmly.
That was well handled by both sides there. Brad Ausmus came out, said what he needed to say, got the attention off Verlander, got the focus off him. The umpire David Rackley went out, heard what he had to say, didn't lose his cool, just said yes, and both sides go back to playing baseball.
8-9 in the Red Sox order, 2 for 2 with a walk now. Here's Leon, who singled and scored last inning. The single came on the 9th pitch of the AB. And a catcher himself, he smiles as that borderline pitch goes Verlander's way after that politicking.
It's always the worst being the guy after that, because if there's one close, it always goes against you, and all you can do, especially as the catcher, is laugh, because then you want that pitch when you're back there.
How legitimate is it, the cliche that catchers can't argue too much as hitters?
Well, all the times I was ejected, I don't think it ever applied. So, yeah, you're not supposed to, but there's also a personal pride and you got to stand up for yourself. You just can't sit back there and continue to not get calls that you think are the one way or another, and that's the fine line of being a catcher and having to deal with umpires, and most of them are great, but you run into some guys that are just having bad days and they want to send you home early, so you go home early.
You never got ejected, did you?
Once or twice maybe. Mr. Rackley, he never got me, so.
Good guy, huh?
Great guy, never threw me out, so I'm proud to say he's a great guy.
0-2. Yanked foul. What was your routine once you got ejected?
Well, before I had kids, it wasn't as big of a deal. Just kind of go back in the clubhouse. It depended on how mad I was. Usually I tried to get ejected late in the game so that the backup catcher wouldn't have to come in and cover 5 or 6 innings.
It's thoughtful of you.
But yes, but once I had kids and your kids are like, Dad, why did you leave the game early? It's a little bit more of a difficult conversation.
AJ, I have a question here. I hear a legend that you were once ejected from a game by the umpires saying to your dugout, you need a new catcher. Is this true?
That is 100% true. And just to add to that legendary story, it was also during spring training.
Spring training?
So what happened?
And it was Cowboy Joe West. And it was a game on nationally televised game in spring training, which never happens. So
yeah.
Joe West is back there. We're in about the 6th inning, and it's hot as all get out in Orlando. And Brian McCann's hitting, and they throw a couple pitches, and he called them balls, and I thought they were strikes. And Joe didn't agree, and he just turned to Freddie Gonzalez and says, Freddie, you need a new catcher. Your catcher's he's not playing nice in the sandbox. So needless to say, McCann started laughing, and I started laughing and walked off the field and drove home, since I live about 15 minutes from there.
So I was going to say, nice part about a spring training game, you just walk right on out, hop in the car, full catcher's gear still. And
but then we got Joe back one time. We took him the next time he was at our stadium.
Yeah.
Joe would go right from second base and then walk straight out to the left center field, which was the exit at Disney. We locked the gate on him, so he couldn't get out. And he's standing there shaking the gate, screaming at, get open the gate. So we had to stand there for about 20 minutes and just get sweatier and sweatier. And he couldn't get out to his car to get home.
Jeez. Tough crowd.
It's tough to get kicked out of a spring training game.
Only time for you?
Spring training, yes. But that's okay. Makes for a great story.
2 outs in the 4th. 2-out walk for Rutledge, and Leone again making Verlander work. Singled on the 9th pitch of the at-bat in the 3rd. This would be the 7th of this one.
And Leone has single-handedly wrecked Justin Verlander's night. Not only with the fact that he's got 16 pitches so far in 2 at-bats, he's also got a hit and scored a run.
90th pitch of the night coming from Verlander. And another foul ball. Look out in that Red Sox dugout.
Sandy Leone getting the head out, just misses a couple staff members and guys down there at the end. It's a scary feeling when that ball comes in there off a hitter, because the last thing you're expecting is a ball coming into the dugout.
That is the 10th 2-strike foul off of the bat of Sandy Leone in 2 ABs.
Just killing him. Single-handedly wrecking Justin Verlander's night. He's going to have nightmares about Sandy Leone after this game.
Of all people. Second time he's worked an at-bat this deep.
And all these foul balls have come in an 0-2 count.
Yeah. This time he gets him with a fastball, but he still runs that pitch count up even higher. 92 through 4 for Verlander. 2-0, getting a pair against Justin Verlander in the third, and they've driven his pitch count up above 90. So we move on to the fifth. Joe Davis, A.J. Pierzynski, and J.P. Morosi on a perfect night for baseball here in Boston. 8-9-1 for the Tigers. James McCann starts this inning against Chris Sale. 6 strikeouts. He's not walked anybody. Tigers have 4 hits, but nothing to show for it. There's ball 1. McCann off of the DL in last night's game. He had missed a couple of weeks after he was hit on the hand, and it wasn't that it did any damage internally. It broke the skin, pinched his hand against the knob of the bat. And not to be too graphic about it, but it was gushing blood.
It was disgusting.
Yeah.
I've never seen an injury happen like that. He took his batting glove off, and it looked like he had been sliced open by a knife. It was bizarre. And he had to go on the DL because of a cut hand.
I believe lacerated is the technical term, AJ.
Laceration. Normally you think, oh, I got hit in the hand, I broke a bone. Instead, he broke the skin.
Had to get stitches. Got those out last weekend. Got 4 hits in his final rehab game, and they activated him last night. A 1-2. Fly ball to right that sends Mookie Betts back to the edge of the warning track for the first out. So that's 7 in a row retired for Chris Sale, who has buckled down since the Tigers put the first 2 on in the third.
It looks like all that did was make him mad, because ever since then he's been locked in. Every pitch, everything has been right where he wants it.
A third inning jam began with an Iglesias double. And the old Red Sox climbs in here. Strike 1. Strike 2. 27 years old now. He's traded to the Tigers at the deadline 2013. They had Xander Bogaerts on the cusp of making his debut at that point. I knew Iglesias had a good future, but Bogaerts the guy they wanted to clear the way for. Fouled off, still 0-2. That rookie year, though, which was split between Boston and Detroit, he finished runner-up for Rookie of the Year.
This guy is pure defensive magic out of there. Playing shortstop. Probably the best pure defender at shortstop in baseball.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's high praise.
He's got amazing hands, amazing feel, and amazing instincts as far as playing the shortstop position. Bogaerts is going to out-hit him. This is what I'm talking about. Watch these plays. Watch the range, watch the quick feet to get up, watch the arm strength and the accuracy. He has everything you're looking for in a star defensive shortstop. And the best part is he puts a little flair on the end.
Protects here, still a ball and 2 strikes.
And by flair, I mean a little swag, a little extra, which is not a bad thing. I know sometimes people get a little mad about that stuff, but it's fun. When you make a play like that, get up and enjoy it.
He's fouled off a few in a row. This will be Sale's 7th pitch to him. It's another 1-2. It's another foul ball. Red Sox signed him out of Cuba in 2009. He was only 21 when he made his debut in that 2013 season. The following year missed the entire season, had stress fractures in both shins, but came back from that and was an all-star in 2015. Ground ball to the hole at short, and Bogaerts has no play. That's an infield single for Iglesias, who is 2 for 2. A 2-0 game and a 1-out base runner for Ian Kinsler at the top of the Tigers order.
This is a guy the Tigers need to get going. I know he's been hurt. He's had some hamstring issues, some nagging hamstring things, but the Tigers need this guy. This guy's their leader, and they need him to get going. 244 is not typically what you see out of Ian Kinsler in June, and 4 homers, 11 RBIs. That's far below his normal production over the past 10 years.
Turns 35 in a couple weeks. Those offensive numbers being down like you're talking about, that's despite having the highest hard hit rate of his entire career. Some bad luck at work for him.
Hitter never wants to hear that.
Yeah.
We don't care about hard hits. We don't care about, oh, my hard hit rate or my exit velocity or this or that. The bottom line is, did I get a hit or not? Because sometimes when you're a hitter and you hit the ball hard and you don't get hits, it's more frustrating than going up there and striking out. Because if you're striking out, you can make adjustments. If you're hitting it hard and they're catching it, you can't control that part of it.
Let's go down to JP.
Joe, in speaking with Lloyd McClendon yesterday, the Tigers hitting coach, he told me Ian Kinsler might be the single most important player in the lineup. When he is on base, when he scores runs, the Tigers win games.
And Brad Ausmus wasted no time plugging him right back into the top of the order after that disabled list stint for the hamstring. Turns on a little pop fly into shallow center that'll dunk in front of Bradley. Right after we talk about his poor luck, he gets a bloop single, 2 on with 1 out.
Well, in the hard hit percentage, that ball's not going to register very high on the exit velocity. But I tell you what, Ian Kinsler is happy as he can be at first base. Gets in on him a little bit, but just dunks it in front of Jackie Bradley. And when he's running to first, he's begging, get down, because he's seen Jackie make all these plays early in this game, so he knows his range and his ability.
Kinsler's second hit of the game, and the Tigers with an opportunity here in the 5th, down 2-0, and Nick Castellanos coming up. He struck out both times against Sale and has now struck out more than half of his 31 career appearances against Sale.
Well, he's not the only person in baseball that can say that. So he's a member of a very proud club, I'm sure of that. But this is a big moment for the Tigers in this game. They got Sale on the ropes here a little bit. They had 1st and 3rd and no outs. Now they have 1st and 2nd and 1 out with the same part of their order up. This is a chance for them to get right back in the game if one of these guys can step up and get a hit.
2 on with 1 out. Out of the stretch. Here comes Sale. Eventually.
And I like what Sale did right there by holding the ball. It just makes you think for a second as a hitter. Gets you a little bit anxious. He had to call timeout. Now the catcher's out there. The hitter in a big situation, they know there's a big situation. He knows that this is an important part in this game, Castellanos. And when you do that to a hitter, it just tightens the grip a little bit on the bat. It just makes you think just more than you want to as a hitter.
How much of that did you dictate as a catcher?
You always try. Kenny Rogers, when I played with Kenny Rogers, he used to have a saying, when I get into trouble, I want to take the air out of the ball and slow it down. So he kind of taught me.
That's off of the glove at 3rd and down the line. Castellanos comes through for the Tigers. Iglesias in to score. Kinsler hangs on at 3rd on an RBI double from Nicholas Castellanos in a 2-1 game in the 5th.
Chris Sale was thinking exactly what I was thinking. Throwing him a first pitch off speed breaking ball. Castellanos just gets outside of it and hooks it down the left field line by Rutledge for the big hit that Tigers have been looking for. Now they're on the board. Now they have 2nd and 3rd and 1 out, and Miguel Cabrera up.
Even with Cabrera's struggles, there are not too many guys in baseball you'd want up over this man in this situation. 2nd and 3rd and 1 gone, and a 1-run game in the 5th. Sale back to the wind and inside with ball 1. Cabrera's 1 for 2 tonight. 1 for 7 in the series with 5 Ks. Sale's 1-0. Jam foul, 1-1.
This goes back to the situation with a runner on 3rd, less than 2 outs, and the Tigers struggles. All season they've struggled in this situation. The infield back. Really all you want to do is hit a ground ball to short or 2nd and get the run home and Sometimes there's productive outs, and that's what you're looking for here.
Here's the 1-1. Cabrera back up the middle off a bounce. Pedroia's got it. Cabrera gets the job done to tie the game at 2. Kinsler in from third, and we're back at square one in the 5th.
Exactly what you're looking to do here. Pull your hands in, hit a ball up the middle, past the pitcher, just to get the run in. See him sneak the peak right there to third to make sure the guy's coming home. He wants that RBI. He's a Hall of Famer, but you still want those RBIs in those situations.
You see, he had a few words there for home plate umpire Dave Rackley.
And I don't know why.
No.
There was no questionable pitches in that at bat.
There was no called strike.
Maybe it was from a previous at bat, or maybe he was just sending a message through Justin Verlander. If we can get JP to find out.
Go ahead run at third now with 2 gone, and Victor Martinez on the ground at third for Josh Rutledge. His low throw is pulled out of there by Moreland, and the inning is over. Tigers get 2 to tie the game, and Miguel Cabrera with a word or 2 for the home plate umpire. Huh. Sponsored by Ford. Going further so you can. In Boston. Tied at 2. Red Sox getting a pair in the 3rd, and the Tigers answering in the top of the 5th. Miguel Cabrera with an infield single to score Ian Kinsler, and his face still does not look like one of a guy who's too happy. We saw him sharing some words with home plate umpire Dave Rackley following that inning. Not entirely sure what that would be about. Top of the order for Boston. Mookie Betts waiting on this 0-1 from Justin Verlander. Ball on a strike.
Verlander needs a quick inning here. His pitch count already in the mid-90s. To try to get another inning. He wants to, yes, get through the 5th inning, but he'd also like to maybe give him an extra inning, which would be the 6th, and save the bullpen another inning.
He's gone 100 pitches or more in 10 of his 12 starts this year. Season high is 119.
Verlander shaking his head, a little bit frustrated with David Rackley behind the plate. Thought the last pitch was a strike.
Onto that one too, but it's 3-1 now. Betts flied to center his first time, then walked. And walks again to open the 5th. Third one issued by Verlander. Brett Ausmus on the phone, which is not a pleasant thing if you're a Detroit Tigers fan, and it hasn't been in a long time. 10 consecutive seasons the Tigers have had a bullpen with an ERA that is worse than league average. How do you not at least stumble on 1 year where you're okay?
They've tried. They have tried everything in Detroit to find someone that can come in and be a bullpen stopper for them. And they brought in names. They brought in guys from the minor leagues that they think are going to be the answer. And just for some reason, as soon as they put on that Tigers uniform, they just can't get anybody out in the bullpen. And it's really amazing. Bullpens go up and down every year. For it to be just such a long run of it is mind-boggling.
0-1 on Pedroia. Strike 2. That Frankie Rodriguez, who started this season as the closer, likely Hall of Famer, but is an ERA around 7 right now, no longer saving games. They like Justin Wilson's potential in that role.
Bruce Rondon, remember him? He was the guy throwing 100 miles an hour, and they sent him home 1 year for not caring enough, which is probably not what you want to hear as a player, that you don't care enough.
Joel Zamaya and the Guitar Hero injury.
They had Joe Nathan.
Fernando Rodney. You're right about having names back there.
They do. They've tried. I give them credit. They've tried and tried.
Pedroia grounds one to third that backs up Castellanos. They get the out at second, and the out will stand. The ball comes out on the transfer, 1 away.
Tough double play turn for Ian. Clearly catches it, just loses it on the transfer. A couple years ago they would have changed that to safe, but they made the right decision and took that transfer rule out and realized that yes, he caught it and dropped it on the way trying to throw it. Just trying to be too quick right there. Probably not going to turn 2 anyways on that, but
Pedroia is aboard on the fielder's choice now. And Xander Bogaerts comes up. Well, more discussion going on between the Tigers and the umpiring crew.
the only thing I can think of is they're checking the slide, but the rule on the slide is you have to throw the ball. If you don't throw the ball, then there can be no slide infraction, and it goes over the base a little bit, but I hope they don't call that. If they check and they change it, that's just terrible.
If you're not supposed to slide through, it's not like you're just going to jam to a stop and not pop up in that situation. Strike one on Bogaerts.
That's what they expect. They expect you not to touch anybody. They expect you to slide and be able to stop. And it's really hard now to be the runner because you have too many things to think about. Coming into second and coming into home plate, you have to slide certain ways, and if not, you're out.
Pedroia is at first with one gone, and an 0-1 to Bogaerts is cracked towards left center field. Montook won't get there. It bangs off the wall. Pedroia stopped at third on a double from Bogaerts, and the Red Sox at second and third with one gone.
Line drive in the gap by Bogey. Montook does everything right. Plays the Karen perfect and holds Pedroia at third.
Brett Ausmus will put Mitch Moreland on to load the bases up for Andrew Benintendi.
Which makes total sense because Mitch Moreland, again, is the one guy who's hurt Verlander throughout his career. And it sets up the possible double play and an opportunity to get out of this inning without giving up a run.
And it brings up the 22-year-old. Vote today, vote tomorrow. Vote for your 2017 All-Stars with the Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot at MLB.com/vote. Catch all the excitement of the 88th All-Star Game presented by MasterCard live on Fox July 11th. So they're loaded up as Benintendi climbs in.
I like that you can do the All-Star Game voting online, but I miss the days of the old paper ballot where you punch the hole in whoever you wanted to, because you could take them home and show your friends, and kids miss that kind of stuff, I think.
Verlander's first one, and Benintendi takes ball one.
It's interesting here for me that Verlander's throwing out of the windup instead of out of the stretch. He must feel more comfortable out of the windup instead of the stretch, but it also gives the base runners a little bit bigger of a lead and gives Mitch Moreland a chance, if there's a ground ball, to get closer to the second baseman and break up the double play ball.
The 1-0, strike one. Benintendi, who debuted last August straight from Double-A as the top prospect in baseball, is yet to hit a major league grand slam. He's been good lately after going through what was really the first big slump of his entire baseball life for the month of May. Big spot here, tie game in the 5th, bases juice. Time is called. They like Benintendi in these spots, even though he's a young kid. They say his temperament unique, so even-keeled and steady, even in the big situations. This one qualifies. Here's a 1-1. Backdoor breaking pitch, and Verlander's ahead 1-2.
Nice curveball by Justin Verlander. Nice frame by McCann. Puts him up in the count 1-2, and now he can go for the strikeout.
Has 3 today. Gunning for one here with the bases jammed, and a tie game in the 5th.
They're having a hard time getting on the same page, especially in big situations, which is odd. You go through the whole game, they've kind of been on cruise control, and then as soon as the pressure is on, they've had a hard time getting on the same page, which you usually don't see.
Shaking a bunch again. It's the 3rd time he's said no. Benintendi again steps out of the box.
Justin has an idea, being the veteran pitcher with a younger catcher behind the plate. He has an idea what he wants, and he's going to get to that pitch and throw the one he wants.
A 1-2. Outside, and the count evens. Pedroia's at 3rd. Bogart's at 2nd, and Moreland, after the intentional walk, is at 1st. Red Sox trying to answer right back after the Tigers tied it in the top of the 5th. 2-2, and Benintendi lifts the ball to center. Playable for Matuk, but it will score Pedroia from 3rd, and the Red Sox jump back in front.
Benintendi getting the job done, getting that runner in from 3rd with less than 2 outs. Verlander wanted the strikeout, wanted to try to get a ground ball, possible double play, but if he can get out of this inning again with only giving up 1, it's still a win for the Tigers. They're still in the game, and they're not buried and dead with Chris Sale out there.
1st and 3rd, 2 gone, and Hanley Ramirez, who is hitting only .135 over the last 2 weeks. Pokes one to 2nd, comes up on Kinsler, able to recover and finish the inning. Verlander gives up just 1. We are halfway home in Boston, and the Red Sox lead at 3-2. Well, Justin Verlander back here in Boston able to get through 5 innings and tried to talk his way into a 6th, but based on the reaction he got when Brett Ausmus went over there to chat with him, it doesn't look like he will get another inning. Strike 1 on JD Martinez. Bottom of the 3rd coming up, or bottom 3rd of the order coming up for Boston, but that's a part of the order that's given him fits tonight.
He's begging, he's fighting, he's doing anything he can because he wants to give another inning. And you admire that, but at the same time, he's also coming off a tight groin. So they're going to be ultra conservative and ultra careful with him.
108 pitches deep, season high 119. Long season though. JD Martinez leading off this inning against Chris Sale and taking outside for a ball. Two and one. Tigers 5-hitter. Pop up. Bogarts or Pedroia. It'll be Bogarts drifting out into short center to get Martinez for the first out of the inning. By the way, you see what's going on in the Yankees-Orioles game right now?
I noticed that. It's 14-0.
Sheesh.
Apparently the Giants are well ahead of the Ravens right now.
Yeah, right. Yankees 14, Orioles nothing. Judge, Holiday, Castro, Sanchez have all homered. Gone a combined 10 for 12 and scored 9 runs, those 4 hitters, through the middle of the lineup. Ball 1 on Justin Upton. So are we at a point yet where you're willing to say the Yankees are for real? Because it seems like, you know, through a month of the season, everybody said they'll come back to earth. Then a month and a half. Then you reach Memorial Day. And now here we are in mid-June and still in first place by a few games.
Well, Severino has been gigantic for them. Coming up, young guy stepping up into the rotation. Tanaka's had his ups and downs. Sabathia has been great for him. Pineda's been great for him. The question has always been their starting pitching. Their bullpen's as deep as it gets.
Upton launches one down the left field line and it hits off the wall. The ricochet comes back to Benintendi, whose running throw is offline, and Upton has a 1-out double.
The green monster giveth. Sometimes you hit fly balls that are home runs and it takes it away. That's probably a home run in a lot of parks down the line. Benintendi showing how athletic he is with a great throw on the run. A little bit offline, otherwise he would have had a shot at Jay up there, but trying to get it in as quick as possible. And it's a little bit off to the left. Jay up sneaks in the backside there. You play here and you see balls like that that are hit that are probably home runs in a lot of parks. But instead it's a double, whereas then sometimes you'll hit a routine fly ball that would normally be caught and it's a home run, so it gives and it takes it away.
Here's Matuk, tying run in scoring position for the Tigers in the 6th. Sale delivers a fastball, strike 1. And just to kind of put a bow on that discussion about the Yankees, I think everybody at this point agrees that the Yankees and the Red Sox are going to be the teams duking it out in the division. Red Sox not going anywhere. 6 games above 500, trailing the Yankees by 3. Matuk turns on a little pop-up into center field that's in front of Bradley. Here comes Upton. Bradley's throw is up the line and this game is tied. Matuk advances to second on the wild throw. What a great read from Justin Upton to be able to score on that ball.
Jay Up knows right where the outfielders are. He sees it right away. He knows it's getting down. Never hesitates. Kicks the ball also as an added bonus to get Matuk into second base. I think he did that on purpose. He saw the ball coming and figured out, why not? Let's just give it the old soccer kick right here.
So Matuk continues to deliver against Boston. Some of the biggest hits throughout his career have come here at Fenway. Ties it with a base hit, moves to second on the throw, and now James McCann can give the Tigers their first lead of the night. best pitchers duel on paper between Verlander and Sale. We're tied at 3 in the 6th.
And for as good as Chris Sale, I would say Chris Sale has had the better stuff of him and Justin Verlander tonight. They're tied 3-3. So the Tigers have done a great job of scoring runs off Sale, but Justin Verlander's done a great job of limiting damage when they've had opportunities to put him away.
0-2. Yeah, I mean, that was gritty stuff from Verlander on a night where he didn't have his best stuff.
I think he'd admit that. If you ask him after the game, say, hey, Justin, how'd you feel? He'd be like, I didn't have my best stuff, but I fought through it. I kept my team in the game. And he's got a chance to walk out of here with a lead and a chance to get a win.
They get a run here, and he may be a little less combative about coming out. Took it second with 1 out. And time is called.
I disagree.
Right.
If they score a run right here, he's going to want to stay in more. He's done. He didn't have his jacket on. He's watching the game from the top step. If he was still in the game, he'd be sitting down on the bench relaxing. He's out. He's done. He knows he's done. But if he would have known they would have scored and had the possibility to take the lead, he would have fought even harder to stay in this game.
He knows the bullpen is not the strength. Chris Sale over the first 4 innings struck out 6, got out of a jam with some strikeouts. Last couple innings though, 5 hits and those 3 runs tying the game.
And the Tigers could have more runs because they had first and third and no outs and didn't score. So they have 3 now. They could have 5 or 6 if they just get 1 hit in that 1 inning.
Little roller to third. Rutledge checks the runner back and throws McCann out. Carl Willis, the pitching coach, coming out as Jose Iglesias comes up 2 for 2 tonight. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by MasterPass, the simple, secure way to pay, and by USAA Insurance, banking, and investments tailored for the military community. Joe Davis, A.J. Brzezinski, and J.P. Morosi here in Game 2 of this 3-game series at Fenway Park. John Farrell's club, a 5-3 win last night. 12-6 now over their last 18 games since they had dropped to 500 in mid-May. Trying to send the Tigers to their 4th loss out of their last 5. Trying to send them spiraling closer to being sellers with the deadline approaching. Took Tida with a single. He's at second. And now Iglesias. Strike 1. Time wasn't given, and Iglesias will take it because that's a ball. But he had given up.
It was a great take right there. There had just been a situation where they called time super late. So David Rackley, after getting yelled at by the Red Sox for calling time too late, decides not to give time, and Iglesias gets a free ball.
Yeah. And now waits on this 1-1 and looks at ball 2. Red Sox trying to figure him out. Iglesias 5 of 6 in this series. The glove first shortstop, hitting in the 9 spot, with a chance to give Detroit its first lead of the night.
And with those numbers, you normally don't pitch around a 9-hole guy to get to Ian Kinsler, but they had a meeting on the mound, and now they're being very careful to Iglesias.
Still 3-1.
And this sometimes is the one miss in Chris Sale's game. He tries to throw it harder sometimes, gets a little side to side, and will miss like he did on the last pitch, which is up and away or down and away to a right-handed hitter because his body's not in a correct alignment and a correct tempo. He tries to throw it harder instead of just in a better location.
On 3-1, Iglesias pops it foul, and the count is full.
And a good call there by Sandy Leon to go with the off-speed pitch, 3-1. A lot of times you call that off-speed pitch to get the, not only to try and get a strike and a swing and a miss from the hitter, but also to get the pitcher back into their proper mechanics by changing their thought process and their arm angle.
He's gone out of a couple jams tonight, finds himself in another here with a go-ahead run in scoring position, and 2 gone in the 6th. The payoff. This will be the 100th pitch of the night for Sale, and he does throw more pitches per game than anybody in the American League. 108 per start. Took his second with 2 gone, and another 3-2 from Chris Sale. Ground ball to short. Bogarts has it, and the inning is over. Well, the Tigers tie it against Sale on a base hit from Matuk. 3-3 to the bottom of the 6th. Heck of a pitching matchup in this one tonight. Justin Verlander is finished. Chris Sale had to battle through that last inning. 100 pitches deep now in a 3-3 game, and really frustrated himself back into the dugout. So into the bullpens we go. Daniel Stumpf, the first reliever to pitch, and the left-hander delivers strike 1 to Jackie Bradley Jr.
Sale's frustration is from being given 2 leads and not being able to hold either one of them.
Look out, 1-1. Do you think he gets a chance to go back out there at 100 pitches?
Well, there's no action in the bullpen.
That would be a good tip-off that he would.
He's going to fight and do everything in his power to have John Farrell allow him to go back out there. So, yeah, I expect to see him out there. He already said he throws more pitches per start than any other starter, and he's only at 100. He's well below his average.
Average is 108. 2-1 on Bradley, last night's hero, with the 8th inning home run. 6 of those 8 home runs on the season have come over his last 21 games. And a hitter's count here. 2-2. Tigers bullpen, one of the worst in baseball again this year. Stump has made a few appearances. Rule 5 selection from the Phillies, deals 2-2 and gets Bradley swinging for the first out of the 6th. One away for Rutledge. Reached both times against Verlander tonight with a single in the 3rd and then walked in the 4th. Ball 1. 6th major league season for Rutledge. First 3 with the Rockies. Now in his 3rd year with Boston. And on 1-0 takes ball 2.
And the hunch that John Farrell played before the game has paid off as Rutledge has reached base twice. And having another good at bat here.
He's ahead of Stump 3-0. The Red Sox have a problem right now at 3rd. Pablo Sandoval in the 3rd year of that big contract and still yet to live up to it. One of his worst years his first year, then only played 3 games last year. It's a 4-pitch walk with 1 out. The world's greatest players bound to be crowned America's champion in golf's can't miss major of the year. The 117th U.S. Open begins on Thursday on Fox FS1 and on Fox Sports Go. 45 minutes outside of Milwaukee. It'll be the first U.S. Open ever held in Wisconsin. All starting this week, and word is that it is beautiful at Erin Hills. Beautiful here in Boston tonight with a full moon. The Tigers and Red Sox are locked at 3. Leon was a nemesis for Verlander in his 2 times up there. 18 pitches he saw. Ball 1. That's 6 consecutive balls delivered by Stump after he struck out Bradley to start the inning.
He was brought in to face the lefty Bradley, and then he has 2 switch hit, or Rutledge the righty and then a switch hitter in Sandy Leon. And as soon as they switched around to the other side, all of a sudden he has a hard time throwing it over that little white plate.
There's a strike. 2-1. Twice was a Rule 5 selection, Stump. Once of the Phillies from Kansas City, and then from the Phillies to the Tigers this offseason. Warwick saw pulled. A 2-1 pitch, and Sandy Leon looks at strike 2.
And a delayed call by David Rackley. You see Leon a little frustrated with the call, thinking it was a ball, but pretty good pitch.
Rutledge at first after the 1-out walk, and here comes Stump with a toss over there. Red Sox team trying to maintain some momentum. It's been an issue for them this year. Leon looks at strike 3 over the inner half at 94. 2 gone. Brad Ausmus coming out. He'll make another change with the top of the order due up, and Mookie Betts. Couple of strikeouts, sandwich the walk to Rutledge, and Stump's night is over. The Tigers back into the bullpen. Warwick Saupold comes in. Right-hander out of Australia. Made his debut last year. The numbers weren't good in limited duty, but so far this year, back and forth between the majors and the minors. Pretty impressive numbers.
Good numbers for a kid from Australia. He's on the so-called shuttle between Toledo and Detroit. Back and forth, up and down, but putting him in a big situation here. See what he's got.
Top of the order, it's Mookie Betts, who's walked twice tonight, looking at ball one. Betts, one of the bright young stars in the game. Breakout season last year, hitting 31 homers, driving in more than 100. That's a center cut strike, and it's 1-1.
Good arm from Saupold. 94, 95 on the fastball. Little cutter, little slider.
Rutledge at first with two gone, and here's the 1-1 pitch. Betts digs it out. High fly ball to center. Routine for Matuk. And the bullpen executes a scoreless 6 for the Tigers out of the late innings at Fenway in a tie game. 7th. He's thrown exactly 100 pitches, but this is nothing new for him. Averaging more pitches per outing than anybody in baseball. Top of the Tigers order: Kinsler, Castellanos, and Cabrera. Kinsler scored the tying run back in the 5th inning. After singling one of his 2 hits tonight. Here's a 1-0. Kinsler lifts the ball to left center, but he got under it. Jackie Bradley Jr. will put it away for out number 1. We talked about this off the top tonight, but you caught Chris Sale's first few seasons in the majors. This is one of his 2 career 15 strikeout performances, and that's you behind the plate. Look like you're doing a fantastic job, by the way, there, AJ.
Hey, look at the frame
job.
Look at that. Look, block. Look at that. I was actually disappointed he only had 15 punch outs in this game.
Yeah,
his stuff was that good that day that he could have had possibly 16, 17, chase maybe 20. That's how good he was that day back in the Trop.
Castellanos swings and misses, strike 1. Was he? I mean, so you never caught him in spring training because he debuted 2 months after he was drafted, so there was no spring training opportunity to get to know him. First time you caught him, did you know this guy's special?
His stuff was special.
Okay.
It was in Baltimore, 2010. Came out of the bullpen. Had met him literally for the first time prior to the game. They wanted to get him in there because he was in the big leagues. He was our first-round pick that year, and came out a little hyped up and had a little bit of control problems, but you could see the stuff was there and the ability to make pitches was there. And he kind of, as the year went, he took over as the closer, believe it or not, and kind of went back and forth as a swingman, closer, starter. They didn't really know what they were going to do with him with the White Sox. They thought his arm wouldn't hold up because of his frame, and all he's done since then is go out and become one of the top 5 starters in all of baseball.
Top earned run average in the American League each of the last 5 years. Those are the 5 years since he moved into the rotation full time. Been an all-star all 5 of those seasons. Headed there again this year. A chance he could start that game. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Castellanos. Here's Sale's next one. Off the end of the bat, lazily to right for Mookie Betts. 2 up, 2 down. Chris Sale tonight, 6 strikeouts, none since the 4th. He's been able to pitch out of a couple of jams, but has allowed those 3 runs through 6+.
All these strikeouts you've seen are mostly on breaking balls. That's his out pitch when he needs to get it out. Slider, either backdoor or back foot. The 1 strikeout on a fastball was to Miguel Cabrera after setting him up with the slider. So he uses the fastball to set up the slider and give them something else to think about, and then when he needs an out, he goes to the slider, and it's usually a strikeout. And as a hitter, you don't want to get to 2 strikes because, oh no, here comes the slider.
Here's an 0-1 to Cabrera. Fastball is by him, and it's 0-2. Good chance this could be the final batter that he faces. 110th pitch coming here.
And as they've done all series, the first 2 games, they've attacked Miguel Cabrera with fastballs.
They do again. 97, and he'll receive a nice hand leaving the field after 7 innings of work. By Budweiser, proudly brewed across America. This Bud's for you. And by Nasacort Allergy, 24 hours stops more of what makes you miserable. All tied at 3 to the bottom of the 7th inning at Fenway. 2, 3, and 4 for the Red Sox in this inning. Dustin Pedroia taking ball 1 from Warwick Saupold. Red Sox getting 2 in the 3rd and 1 in the 5th. The Tigers 2 in the 5th and 1 in the 6th. Pedroia with a bullet base hit to open the 7th. That is his first hit since coming off of the DL last night. And the go-ahead run reaches to open the 7th. Looks like Chris Sale likely finished on a night where he too was without his very best stuff, able to fight through 7 and still strike out 7, didn't walk anybody.
John Farrell very appreciative, not only getting him through 6 but going back out there for the 7th and giving him the 7th inning, which saves another inning out of their bullpen and sets him up to still be in line for a win.
A lot of the Red Sox starters up there on the leaderboards as far as innings pitched per outing, and so their bullpen tied for the fewest innings worked in the American League this year. Bogarts, strike 1.
That's how you keep a bullpen fresh over a 162 game schedule, is by having your starters go deep into these games, and that's why starting pitchers are so valuable. The Red Sox have veteran starters: Price, Porcello, Sale. So these guys know how to get through innings. They know how to save the bullpen. They know what they're doing.
Ball on a strike on Bogarts. How about at the back end of this Red Sox bullpen this year, what Craig Kimbrell's doing?
His stuff, I got to catch him in spring training before he was traded to San Diego in 2015, and his stuff is some of the best 2 pitches that I've ever seen. His fastball explodes on you and his breaking ball just falls off a table. So if it gets to him, it's not a fun at bat.
He has never allowed a run at Fenway. 2 seasons as a Red Sox and then 1 game here while he was with Atlanta. 28 for 28 in save situations in this ballpark. What I'm saying is you better not give up a run if you're the Tigers. A 1-1 pitch. That's low. 2-1.
And to go over a year without giving up a run, and he's not coming in to mop up situations. He's coming in usually with the game on the line. All eyes looking at him in high pressure situations. That's what you want out of a closer, and that's why he's been to many All-Star games and has been doing what he's doing for so long.
Next piece of it is trying to get the setup all settled. Injuries hurting them there. On 2-1, Bogart swings and misses, and it's 2-2. Of course, Carson Smith still battling back from the Tommy John. Their 2 big acquisitions in the offseason, 2 biggest, Chris Sale and then Tyler Thornburg, who they got from the Brewers, but Thornburg yet to pitch and not close to pitching because of arm problems.
And both those guys you mentioned, Smith and Thornburg, are big pieces because they're big arms coming out of the back end of the bullpen with strikeout potential. They both can come in and get you strikeouts in big situations when you need them, and that's what you want out of your guys in the bullpen, is to come in and have the ability to get punch outs, not just outs but punch outs.
Hard hit base hit, and the first 2 have reached for Boston in a tie game in the 7th. Trying to get that back into the bullpen, a lead to work with. Well, it all starts here. The 2017 Major League Baseball draft coverage beginning at 6 Eastern on Monday. MLB Network and MLB.com. Mitch Moreland to the plate in a tie game. He was a 17th round pick and the 2007 draft out of Mississippi State. A lot of teams had more interest in him as a pitcher than they did as a first baseman.
And I've seen him pitch.
Yeah.
He's got good stuff.
2 on and nobody out. Here's the first one. 1-0.
When I played with Mitch in Texas, he'd always get me to squat behind home plate like if we were taking infield or before batting practice, and he'd throw me some pitches. And he had good stuff. I could see why teams would look at him. He's got a good arm, got good life, got a nice little slider he could throw up there. He kind of throws sidearm. So
2 balls, no strikes, and a tie game in the 7th. Tied the game in the 8th inning last night. Had a base hit in the 3rd earlier tonight. That brought home a run as well. With Pedroia at second and Bogarts at first, at 2-0 to Mitch Moreland. A cue shot foul, and it's 2-1. 1-year contract this offseason after 7 years in Texas. And the Red Sox, truthfully, acquired him mostly for his Gold Glove defense, the grit that they knew he'd bring to the clubhouse. Didn't expect that he would produce the way he has offensively.
Well, if you would have said going into the season that Mitch Moreland be hitting 4th for you in the middle of June, Red Sox fans would have said, man, we must be doing terrible this year, but he's earned that spot.
Here's a 2-1. Moreland cracks it foul, and it's 2-2.
And mostly with doubles, not with the home runs, but with doubles. This guy is a double machine.
Yeah, they put a nickname on him early this year, Mitchie Two Bags. He was doubling so frequently. That pace way down over the last month or so, but he put together the 2 months of work. Very impressive offensive season. It is easily the best of his career. Two on, nobody out, and a tie game in the 7th. Softball's 2-2 is lifted in the air to left. Back on it goes Upton, lunges and won't get it. It ricochets back towards the infield. It scores 1. It scores 2. Mitchie Two Bags has done it again. A 2-run double.
Good piece of hitting, backdoor breaking ball. Moreland just goes with it, gets it over Upton's head. He feels the wall. It almost went in the hole. Ugh. But another double right on cue by Mitch Moreland. Drive in 2 and give the Red Sox a 2-run lead here in the 7th.
So Boston again getting the job done against the Tigers bullpen. They got 3 in the 8th against the Pen last night. They have 2 here in the 7th with Moreland at second and still nobody out.
And if you're a Tiger fan, you just have to get sick of hearing that, don't you?
Yeah.
After almost 10 years of it continually happening with different faces, different names, just for some reason it just works out like that. Sappold's had a nice start, but comes in, gives up 2 right away.
Now it's Benintendi. Outside, ball 1. Red Sox 46 consecutive wins when they lead after 7. That corresponds with the acquisition last year of Craig Kimbrell, who was good but not great last year. He has been unmatched here in his 2nd season in Boston. The 1-0. That's a strike.
Well, don't forget about Joe Kelly.
Yeah.
Another acquisition that struggled when he first came over to Boston, but now they bring him in big situations. He's throwing the ball 105 miles an hour.
I think that gun was a little bit juiced.
Well, was registered the hardest pitch in Major League Baseball this year.
Yeah, StatCast officially called it a little over 102. Change up. 1-2.
Well, originally it was listed at 105 on the gun.
Right.
So I'm going with that one.
That's more fun.
And Joe was my teammate for about 2 days in St. Louis there. He was a starter at the time. Looks very relaxed, flicking seeds.
Ooh, he's good at it. Distance. Effortless.
He's actually an incredible athlete. Can dunk, like 360 dunk a basketball. Can move, can run, flies as a runner.
So that holds 1-2 is a fastball to get Benintendi for the first out of the inning. Now you mentioned you were his teammate for a couple days in St. Louis. There were Cardinals fans that really hated that deal.
Well, not just because of Joe Kelly, but also because Alan Craig was in that deal, and he was super popular, not only amongst the fan base, but also among the Cardinals in the clubhouse. But they got some guy named John Lackey back who ended up being pretty good for the Cardinals, and then now was at the Cubs and brought them their first World Series in a really long time.
One gone for Ramirez. 1 for 3 tonight as Moreland at second. Pops the first pitch foul.
And when that trade went down, Joe Kelly and I were laying on the training table in San Diego next to each other on 2 separate tables, and he found out he looked at me and said, "I think I'm going to be traded for Lackey." And not 5 minutes later, sure enough, he found out he was traded for John Lackey.
Twitter? Did he see rumors on Twitter?
I think he was. Yeah, he's a big Twitter, big social media guy. So guys know what's going on. They get a feel, and you start hearing your name, and you start expecting things, and he expected it to happen, and sure enough, within about 5 minutes it did, and he was packed up and gone before the game started.
Hanley's been traded a couple times. Actually started his career here in Boston. They signed him out of the Dominican Republic in 2000, then traded him to the Marlins. The Josh Beckett, Mike Lowell deal after he made his debut playing in 2 games for the Red Sox. That's in. It's 1-1. Traded again to the Dodgers at the deadline in 2012. And now in his 3rd year here in technically what is his 2nd stint with the Red Sox. It's been a roller coaster for him. Worst year of his career, his first year back here. Resurgence last year, banked 30 home runs, but struggling again here in year 3. On this 1-1, he dribbles it foul, 1-2.
You see that a lot in guys in Boston. They come over for the first year, and it's definitely an adjustment because this place is unlike any other place in baseball as far as just the scrutiny you're under when you come play for the Red Sox. It got me, but it's gotten a lot of guys. So, and it's not just the media expectations, it's the fans' expectations. And when you take the field with the Red Sox uniform on, it's a different feeling than any other uniform I put on, as far as you're expected to go out and never have a bad game, and that's hard to do and hard to live up to. And usually the 2nd year, like you said, they settle in and get better and figure it out, especially if you're a player of Hanley Ramirez and the like's talent.
And there was plenty in the news this week about the pressure of playing in Boston and the relationship between the players and the media with everything that went down with David Price. And it didn't help his cause by struggling the following day on the mound against the Yankees.
Well, and John Farrell mentioned Kimbrel as a guy his first year got to him.
That one gets by. Up to 3rd goes Moreland. The count is full on Hanley Ramirez. J.P. Morosi, you had a chance yesterday to visit with David Price.
I did, Joe, and really it was a typical conversation like I've had for many years with David Price. He was smiling. He was upbeat. We talked about his outing on Thursday night in New York. We also talked about his return from New York that night. Actually stayed up, Joe, until 9:30 in the morning with his weeks-old son, Xavier. He said he stayed up, actually went to McDonald's at 6 in the morning. So he's really immersing himself, Joe, in that life as a father as the controversy increases here at the ballpark.
Ramirez trying to execute the fundamental play with a man at 3rd and 1 gone. A payoff. And a ground ball to short. Holding at 3rd is Moreland. Long throw from Iglesias gets him. It's a tough play when he was pulled in, ranging back to get it. 2 out.
Nice play by Iglesias. Tough read by Moreland here at 3rd base. He's told to make the ball go through as the infield was kind of halfway, but a lot of times as the runner, if you see that high hop, you can go. But a nice play, backhand, strong throw, accurate throw for the 2nd out.
And Moreland not the fastest runner. So the hesitation was enough to keep him anchored there. They will walk Bradley intentionally and bring up Josh Rutledge.
Now does the pitcher gets charged 4 pitches for an intentional walk even though they don't throw him, correct?
Rick Krajewski doesn't know.
Wow, we stumped Rick.
How about it?
They didn't change the total on the board, so I don't.
The answer is no.
They do not.
They do not.
Okay, so it's just 4 pitches that didn't happen, but he gets a walk.
Right.
Okay.
So instead of facing Bradley, they choose to face Rutledge, who has reached all 3 times tonight. Single and a pair of walks. That's ball 1. It's been an important piece. The injuries they've had with Pedroia at 2nd and with Sandoval at 3rd. Sandoval obviously back from that injury now, but struggling since returning. Had a few hits in his first game, but has not looked very good since that first game back.
And another guy that the pressure of the Red Sox has kind of taken its toll on. Everybody's kind of all over him, and they said the boos were when he does play and he doesn't get a hit or execute the way fans think he is, he gets booed, and it's a fan's right. But it makes it tough as a player. It still hurts you to get booed by your own fans.
Mitch Moreland, 2-run double to put the Red Sox in front. He's at 3rd with 2 out. That's a strike, 1-1. Verlander and Sale tonight, both allowing 3 runs. So it's a battle of the bullpens here down the stretch, and the Tigers crack first. These are the kind of boos you are more used to. The ones from the opposing fans, right?
There was an old coach I had one time and said, you want to make a run or not steal, you throw over until the crowd boos, and then you throw over again.
Strike 2. Here's the 1-2. Base hit to right center. Rutledge has reached all 4 times. He knocks in a run with a single, and it's 6-3. That's going to do it for softball. Here comes Brad Ausmus. Boston getting 3 against him, at least here in the 7th. The man at first and third, his responsibility. And the Tigers deeper into that bullpen, now down 3. Mitch Moreland with a 2-run double that has the Red Sox in front. They now lead 6-3, and we look at our Budweiser game summary. Chris Sale goes 7 innings, allows those 3 runs. Verlander allowed 3 runs himself through 5, and then Moreland continues his hot hitting against the Tigers. His 7th double against Detroit this year. Francisco Rodriguez comes in to face Sandy Leon with runners at the corners. And 2 gone here in the 7th. Rutledge takes off for second and gets there without a throw. It's not the same Francisco Rodriguez that has a very good chance to wind up in the Hall of Fame. An ERA around 7. Here in his 2nd year in Detroit and no longer in the closer's role.
And his velocity's been down for the last couple years. He relies mostly on deception and a changeup instead of the 95 plus that he used to throw when he first came up with the Angels in his last, pretty much over his whole career until the last 2 years.
7 years with the Angels and 5 years in Milwaukee. A couple of years with the Mets, had a year in Baltimore, and then came over to the Tigers prior to last season on a 3-year contract.
The Tigers are trying to find places to pitch him.
Yeah.
They want him to get back to where he is a dominant late inning guy, but if you're struggling, you can't pitch when the game is close or on the line, so you have to find innings for him, and these are the situations that you get put in.
2nd and 3rd with 2 gone, and Rodriguez home to Leon with an 0-2. Just low, ball 1. Came into the year with a career earned run average below 2.8. 698 right now. '16 major league seasons for the Venezuelan. Now 35 years old and ready to deliver this 1-2 pitch. Leon takes strike 3 at the bottom of the zone. But the Red Sox get 3 against the Tiger bullpen and take a 6-3 lead into the 8th. The action in the diamond, the best team of analysts in baseball. Get you caught up on a full night of action around the big leagues on MLB Whip Around. Weeknights at 11 Eastern on FS1, or you can watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Red Sox 6, Tigers 3 after the 3-run bottom of the 7th. And the Sox into the bullpen, Matt Barnes to face the middle part of the Tigers order. Victor Martinez stands in. There's ball 1. Former first-round pick from Connecticut. 28th game this year for him.
And a big arm. Matt Barnes possesses a big arm. High velocity. And he's a big guy out there. So he throws it at a unique angle, tries to throw it downhill. And with the velocity and the angle, it makes it tough on hitters.
He lets the 1-1 fly. Martinez dribbles it foul, 1-2. You were here for his first full Major League season, 2015.
I was not. I was here in 14.
14. So were you here when he debuted with the 5 games, or did that come after you had?
That was
left?
after I had already been sent packing from the Red Sox.
Got a nice little vacation out of it.
I did, but you know, you never want to get told you're fired, but it happens to the best of us.
Here's his 1-2, and it gets Martinez. We were talking about Craig Kimbrell and his success in this ballpark. Said that he had never given up a run here. He's never given up a run here in a save situation. So 28 save opportunities. He's not allowed to run in this ballpark.
Well, either way, he's still pretty good.
Pretty good. Splitting hairs.
You see him getting heated up there. About this time, the closer knows, hey, it's 6-3. I'm about to come in to my music and get the adrenaline going.
Ball one on Martinez. And John Farrell has shown a willingness to use him for more than 3 outs. This does not dictate it, this score here. And Farrell has said that he wants to slow his roll on that. It's that arm, they hope, deep into the fall.
He's so good and he's such a weapon that he wants to get him in there as soon as he can. You can't blame him.
Since the end of April, he struck out more than half of the batters that he's faced. Opponents are 3 for 60. At least 3 hits in the 60 plate appearances. A few walks in there, so 3 for 57.
I want to know who the 3 guys that got hits were.
Legends. 1 ball and 2 strikes on JD Martinez. 0 for 3 tonight after a 3-hit game in the opener yesterday. Barnes is ready. Leone sets the target outside and a 1-2 pitch. Fouled off.
Barnes has a funky little quirk in his delivery when he goes home. If you watch him when he goes, his glove hand almost goes straight up in the air, and all that's there to do is not only to gain momentum towards home plate, but also to create a little bit of deception for the hitters, to give them something else to see before the ball comes behind it.
Two and two.
When he goes home, you see his glove hand go up over his head. That creates torque and drive, but it also gives the hitter something else to think about besides just seeing the ball. You basically see 2 things coming at you, his glove and then the ball, and for that it gives you just a split second of confusion as a hitter.
Fastball gets him swinging, 2 out.
And it doesn't hurt when you can back it up with 97 miles an hour on the black.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that's the prototypical windup or arm action, but it does create deception, and it creates momentum towards home plate, and therefore you're able to generate 97 miles an hour.
2 up, 2 down, and it's Justin Upton, who has extended his hitting streak to 9 games with a double tonight.
And we haven't seen any good swings at all at Matt Barnes since he's come in. Throwing fastballs by guys, and had a great hitter like Victor Martinez look silly on a breaking pitch.
Quickly 0-2. And a chance to strike out this side here in the 8th.
Well, 3 pretty good hitters. Victor Martinez, JD Martinez, and Justin Upton.
All of them all-stars at one point or another throughout their career. Barnes ready. 0-2. Grounded to third. Rutledge has it, and Barnes with a 1-2-3-8. The 8th inning, Grip the Moment, sponsored by Falcon Tires, the official tire of Major League Baseball. Back in the 1st inning, first batter of the game, Ian Kinsler, required Jackie Bradley Jr. to go back and make that catch. And then with 2 on and 2 out, he saved a run with this diving play.
Those plays are forgotten a lot of times in the 1st inning, but it saved at least 1 run, if not 2 or 3 runs. So great plays by Jackie Bradley Jr. to get the game and Chris Sale off to a good start.
Latest Tigers pitcher, Arsenio Leon. Top of the Red Sox order, Mookie Betts to lead off this 8th. Leon making his major league debut this year after 12.5 years in the minors. 30-year-old out of Venezuela, bounced around between several different organizations. The Astros to the Brewers to the White Sox, and finally getting an opportunity here with the Tigers.
And another high velocity arm coming out of these bullpens.
That's about all there is these days.
That's true. The days of the 88-mile-an-hour sinker ball are gone.
1 and 2. Yeah, I mean, even the guys, AJ, that are coming in here in a 3-run game and 3-run deficit have spent 12 years trying to crack the majors. They're touching 96.
If you don't throw 95 these days, and you're not doing something right, because every guy out of the bullpen, it used to be there was 1 guy on a team that threw that hard. Now every guy on the team throws that hard. You're almost better off throwing it like 75, because then you're throwing under hitting speed. Everyone's used to seeing 95 now.
That one buzzes by Betts' hands. Full count.
This one will scare you as a hitter. You see his timing mechanism with his hands. He's a little bit late. Ball gets on him, and whoo, look out.
And Betts walks to open the 8th. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by the all-new Chrysler Pacifica, imported from Detroit. Now by Cricket Wireless, something to smile about. Problem with a lot of these guys coming in throwing 96 is the reason they've spent 12.5 years in the minors is because you don't necessarily know where that 96 is headed. That's not a comfy AB.
No, it's not. You saw Mookie Betts look on his face when he almost got hit in the hand, and that's been Leon's problem, is throwing the ball over the plate. Yeah, he throws 97 miles an hour, but if you can't locate it, it doesn't matter.
Pedroia pokes it foul.
And you want to drive your manager absolutely crazy and come in down 3 and walk the leadoff guy.
It's the 4th time the leadoff man has reached for Boston. Each of the first 3 times he's come around to score. 2 in the 3rd tonight, 1 in the 5th, and 3 in the 7th. Orleans 2-run double, the tiebreaker. Up the middle, into center, a base hit. Betts headed for 3rd, and the throw from Mata goes into 2nd. Second hit of the night for Dustin Pedroia. The Red Sox threatening to add on here in the 8th.
Good piece of hitting by Petey. Just take the ball up the middle. But better base running by Mookie Betts. Never slows down. He knows how deep the outfielders are. And with his speed, it's an easy 1st to 3rd. It also helps when you play the outfield. You know that outfielders are taught to get the ball into 2nd base to keep the double play in order. So he just rolls in easily into 3rd. And Red Sox are set up, and again, 1st and 3rd, no outs.
And it's Bogarts with the infield pulled in for Brad Ausmus. The Tigers bullpen in this series so far, 4 innings. They've allowed 6 runs on 9 hits.
I don't think that's very good, Joe.
It's not. No, confirmed. Actually, add on these 2 hits, 6 runs on 11 hits. Still nobody out in this inning. That's down the line and foul. It's 1-1.
This is always a weird, for me as a catcher, and try to stay in tune. What do you do here with your infield? Do you bring the infield all the way in to try to cut off the run but open up more holes, or do you play back and try to get the double play and give up the run to try to get the 2 outs and go down by 4? Ausmus obviously chose to bring the infield in to try to cut off the run, but it opens up holes for Bogaerts to continue the inning and maybe open it up for a really big inning.
Thought's got to be, I mean, the 3-run deficit is borderline insurmountable against Kimbrel as it is. Can you really afford another?
Well, if you go down 4, you're not going to face Kimbrel to start the inning.
Right. Two on, nobody out, 1-2. Ground ball foul. Yeah, what's worse, a 3-run deficit against Kimbrel or a 4-run deficit against somebody else?
Well, we showed Kimbrel's number, so I don't know if you want to face him with any kind of deficit. And then Blaine Boyer's out there warming up, and he's pretty good too. He's had a nice career, so it's kind of pick your poison out there, because the other thing you have to understand is if Boyer comes out and gives a guy on base, Kimbrel's coming in anyway, so you're going to have to face him one way or the other.
Bogaerts yanks a rising line drive that hits off the top of the monster. Betson to score on a Bogaerts double, and it's a 7-3 game. Go ahead and chill, Craig.
Bogey with the ringing double off the top of the monster. Home run in every other park. We talked about it earlier. The Green Monster will give you some hits, but also take away some hits. So he'll take the double and the RBI, but he would have liked a home run and 3 RBIs instead.
Third hit of the night for him. Not close.
I just love the reaction of the lady right behind the fence. If that ball goes over the wall, she has nowhere to go and frozen. She's just praying that it doesn't hit her. And her husband didn't protect her. I don't know that that's her husband, but the person she's with didn't try to protect her. He got out of the way.
He's got the distance right, that close. Strike one on Benintendi. Similar story to last night. The Boston Red Sox got 3 runs against the Tigers bullpen. Here they already have 4. We're going to have them loaded up after the intentional walk to Moreland. Benintendi shoots a soft little humpback liner into left that'll score 2 more. And the Red Sox have busted it open, 9-3. That's Benintendi with a 2-run base hit, who only 2 years ago was the 7th overall pick. The draft coming up this coming week. Remember the day you were drafted, the week leading up to that?
I do remember. I was drafted by the Twins out of high school, and I like the way when I was drafted 1994, 20 plus years ago, it didn't have all the coverage that it has now. We didn't have the MLB network, the whole deal with the kids there. It was just, you got a phone call at home and you tried to watch it on the computer, but back then the internet wasn't fast enough to keep up with the draft picks, so you were just kind of timing it and trying to guess when the team called where you were going. And drafted by the Twins and signed shortly thereafter, and now I'm up here with you, Joe.
Oh my goodness, sorry. Hanley Ramirez swings wildly, strike one.
I love what Major League Baseball has done with the draft, though. They made it into an event. Every other sport, the draft is an event. They're trying to make it. The difference is a lot of people don't know all the high school kids, but with the internet and with the the television coverage and Baseball America and all these other outlets for people to get information on baseball. They know the players now more than ever. You turn on the TV and there's college games on all the time on all these channels, and FS1 has Big 12 games. So the fans know more about it now than they ever did, as Hanley Ramirez tries to take out Jackie Bradley Jr. on deck.
Tigers will pick 18th overall in the first round this week. Red Sox first pick comes at 24. The Twins, the team that took you, they have the first overall pick.
And I was far from the first overall pick, so.
Strike 3 called, and Ramirez the first out.
So Ramirez almost hit Jackie on deck, and I actually got hit in the face last year by a foul ball on deck in Atlanta.
You did?
Yeah, that wasn't a good feeling. Split my lip open pretty good. Had to go to the dentist. Had a sore jaw for a few days. Yeah.
First time in your 20 years in the bigs?
First time I ever got hit or even came close to being hit on deck.
Wow. Two on with one out for Bradley, and a backdoor pitch for strike 1. Here's your sign that you should probably hang it up, right? You play 19 years and that never happens, and not just 19 years, but all the years of baseball in your life.
And had nowhere to go. Like, remember the lady we showed that didn't know where to go? That was me. I didn't know where to go or what to do. I was facing, and Adonis Garcia hit it right at me, and I just froze. And it hit me right in the face.
Glad you're okay, man.
I stayed in the game, so I'm proud to report. Stayed in the game, was a little sore, but sometimes you just rub some dirt on it and move on.
Didn't lose any teeth or anything?
No.
Must have been a glancing blow then?
No, it was solid.
Squared you up in the mouth.
In the jaw. Yeah.
Here's the 1-2. Bradley dribbles it up along first. It will stay fair, and it's thrown wildly off of the first base umpire. Everybody's safe. Boy, Arsenio Leon missed the target at first by a good 5 feet. Instead got Alfonso Marquez, the crew chief.
You got to let this ball at least try to go foul. I guess it was starting to come back fair, but either way, you have no play. And nice kick save by Alfonso Marquez right there. And that look just about sums it up for the Tigers bullpen the last couple nights.
Marquez laughing.
Well, I guarantee you he didn't think that he was going to be involved in a play right there.
No.
Nonetheless, save at least a couple runs.
It's a 50-cent style throw from Leon. It's ball 1 on Rutledge. What a night for him. He's reached all 4 times. Getting a start over Sandoval, and figure he's probably earned another tomorrow because Sandoval's not done anything to warrant forcing his way back in there with a night like this. Bases loaded for Boston with a 6-run lead in the 8th, and it's 2-0.
John Farrell played his hunch tonight, playing Rutledge, and he's paid off. 4 times on base, 4 really good at bats.
Rutledge has 1 grand slam under his belt in his 6 years in the majors. Here he's ahead 3-0 with nowhere to put it. Series wraps up tomorrow night. Pomeranz going for the Red Sox. Daniel Norris countering for the Tigers. It's Justin Wilson loosening. Casey's needed to stop the bleeding here. Still only 1 out. Strike 1.
And Brad Ausmus does not want to have his closer up in a 9-3 game right now in the bottom of the 8th, just trying to get through this inning, trying to find those last 2 outs. Try to save your closer for a little bit bigger situations than down at least 6 in the bottom of the 8th.
3-2. 3 in the 7th and in the 8th for the Red Sox, all against the bullpen. Here comes a payoff, and he walked in a run. It's 10-3 Boston. You feel for Brad Ausmus. I mean, what do you do?
He's trying everything he can. He's trying to mix and match. He's tried matchups. He's tried everything he can do to try to get outs from their bullpen. It just hasn't worked.
Play ball is MLB's initiative to inspire all forms of baseball and softball participation, making play opportunities available and fun for everyone. Go to playball.org to learn more. Playing ball is not fun right now for Detroit. See?
Brad Ausmus does not look like he's having a good time.
No. Although, to be fair, rarely does he. It's a ball on Leon. And you know, sometimes he is. He was quoted this week saying, yeah, very clearly the games are the best part.
Well, the games are always the best part. It's all the stuff that comes along with getting to the game. That's the hard work. The games are fun and enjoyable and what it's all about. It's the other stuff that sometimes gets in the way. And for some odd reason, all over the stands, everyone has turned on their cell phone flashlights.
It's a thing now. You don't like it?
I've never tried it.
I wasn't really asking if you enjoyed pulling your cell phone out. I more meant, do you like it as a thing in ballparks? I don't. It's like the lighters out, you know, instead.
Yeah, but when at the old 80s rock band concerts, when everyone pulled out the lighters when they played the ballads, that was cool. But now no one has a lighter and everyone has a cell phone, so they just moved on to the new technology.
Leon goes the other way with a fly ball that Upton settles under. So bring home Benintendi from third, and Boston has 11 tonight. Would it bother you as a hitter, though, in your backdrop, seeing those lights?
Most of the stadiums don't have fans in center field. Fenway's an exception.
So in your peripheral?
I would hope that I'm so locked into my at-bat that I don't notice it, but I was always one that noticed things that other people didn't. I had a tendency to get distracted easily, so I probably would have noticed.
Squirrel.
Yes. Probably would have got annoyed at it, but if I got a hit, I'd be all for it. If I made it out, I'd probably be a little bit angry.
2 on, 2 out. Mookie Betts, who started this inning with a walk, back up there looking at strike one. Tigers bullpen has now allowed 7 runs tonight, and total this weekend 10 runs on 13 hits. That's a missile, but foul. Continuing a trend that is not just this season, but over the years for the Tigers. That's surprising to see Oakland or to see Minnesota on that list, the first place team.
Usually you see bad teams on that list, and Minnesota's in first place right now, so they're out hitting their bullpen, and their starters have done a really nice job for them.
Betts digs out a little pop-up into center. Matuk making the call. And the catch to end this inning. But the Red Sox add 5 more. And Craig Kimbrell can take a seat and just watch as the Red Sox cruise out of the ninth. second with the Red Sox in front by 8. Instead of Craig Kimbrell, it'll be Blaine Boyer on to pitch the 9th inning here in his first season in Boston. 11th major league year, and he's with his 8th different team. Mikey Matuk starts the 9th by taking strike 1. 11 major league seasons, 2 years in Japan. So Boyer was a big leaguer from 05 to 2011, then 2 years out of the bigs before returning with San Diego in 2014. 1 ball and 1 strike. A little pop up and foul ground at first. Mitch Moreland, room in front of the tarp for out number 1. Speaking of Mitch Moreland, we look at our prevailing moment of the game, sponsored by the Hartford in the 7th in a 3-3 game. Yes, that recently it was tied. Moreland hit a 2-run double off of the wall to start an avalanche of runs for Boston. 8 of them against the Tigers bullpen to make it 11-3. And he continues. It's been a tremendous year and a great pickup for Boston. 1 out in the 9th. James McCann, the hitter. That's ball 1. Down to JP.
And Joe, Mitch Moreland was actually offered more money by the Cleveland Indians, but signed here. 1 year, $5.5 million. One of the best signings, dollar for dollar, of any team in the major leagues this season. Joe, he is on pace for the best OPS in his entire career.
I like the fact that he was a Gold Glover last year, because let's be honest, you're not going to replace what David Ortiz did offensively, but they thought they could scatter that around, make up for it with a few different pieces offensively, and then improve defense. At first base would be one of those spots instead of Hanley Ramirez. It's a crackback roller to short. That's Bogarts. That's out number 2.
Well, if you go out and you make the trade for Chris Sale,
yeah,
you want defense. If you're not going to be able to replace the offensive production, what's the other way to go? You go and make your defense better. What does Mitch Moreland do? Not only does he play a great first base, but bad throws by other guys in the infield, he'll pick them. He's got a great throwing arm. We already discussed the possibility of it possibly being a pitcher. So he just brings other things to the table besides the great offensive year that he's off to.
Tigers down to their last out. Jose Iglesias has been a bright spot for him tonight. 2 more hits. That's strike 1. Yeah, when a lot of teams are constructing their rosters, they look at run differential and the expectations on that. And if you're not going to score runs, then like you said, it kind of becomes a question of run prevention. And the pitching and the defense very obviously go into that. And not that they weren't going to score runs. It's just you would predict that losing David Ortiz, you wouldn't score as many. So how do you make up for that? It's on the other end of the spectrum, trying to prevent them.
Well, the Red Sox are still going to score runs.
Sure. Just not as many.
They might not hit as many home runs, but they still have a very talented offense with a lot of great pieces. You don't have Pedroia, Betts, Bogarts, Benintendi, Bradley Jr. and not score runs. They're still going to score runs. Hanley can still hit, just in a different way than what they did before, was the home run. Now they do it more chipping away and hits.
They'll be 13-6 over their last 19 when this one finishes. That is after they dropped to 500 in 4th place in the American League East on May 20th. Yankees cruising tonight, so the deficit will remain 3 in the East. Full count. The Tigers, meanwhile, will now have dropped 4 of their last 5. They'll be 4.5 back of the Twins, inching ever closer to being sellers. Shank down the right field line, and we'll do it again. Game was 3-3 when the highly anticipated pitching matchup of Sale and Verlander came to a close. On paper, you would like the Red Sox over the Tigers in a battle of the bullpens, and that's proven to exactly the case. The 3 in the 7th and the 5 in the 8th.
And this will be the first time that a Chris Sale team has beaten a Justin Verlander team.
Yeah.
When they've gone head to head.
In his 6th try.
Both starters didn't have their best stuff, but they both battled and grinded it out. Sale gave the Red Sox 7. Verlander only made it through the 5th. And then when the bullpens got involved, like you said, Joe, on paper the Red Sox had the advantage and it came through.
Iglesias battling here. Ground ball to the hole, it's short. Bogarts a jump throw to finish it off. Red Sox get 8 against the Tigers bullpen and move to a season high 7 games above 500. 11-3 the final score. Coming up next, we'll send it back to the studio for post-game coverage. For AJ Brzezinski, JP Morosi, the rest of our crew, Joe Davis saying so long from Boston. We'll get you to the guys in the studio right after this break.